Okay. Hello, everybody. How are we all doing today? I'm going to look at these comments real quick. Offer a reason for my tardiness and move into the socialization. Hi, Amy. G's not with me right now. They're out looking for stuff at Goodwill. Hi, Crimson. Karen. Tina. Justice. Oh, you're taking a mental health day? I don't know what your name is, the one who has the handle Road Sun Traveled. But I talk to you often, so, or like respond to you often, so. If I do know and I don't, please remind me. You like my look, Fallout? Thank you. I appreciate it. Today I'm late because I'm doing well, but I had like the most intense anxiety attack, and some little kids were witness to it today. I thought that was funny. They were really sweet. We have a path out behind our house. That's where we did the scavenger hunt a couple days ago. And I ran out there, and I was having this freak out, and I was like, I'm going on a walk. I need to go outside. So I did that. And, oh, hi, a fire inside ASMR. And there was just a kid on the ground with his mountain bike, and he was just laying there. And I was like, and huh? Oh, fuck. And so I went and I sat down and just was like crying, just like ugly crying, and like talking to myself like, stop moving. You don't need to move. Stop talking. Shut up. Oh, I didn't say shut up. I've learned how to be kinder to myself. It's not like that. And I was just sitting there, and then this other little kid came up on his bike, and he was like, excuse me? I'm ugly crying on the side. Excuse me? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm okay. Thank you. You know, I have anxiety, and it's really tough sometimes. And his whole family was out there. I think they were cousins or brothers or something, you know. The family came up, and they were just standing there on the side of the road, just like hanging out. And I was like, oh my God, why are they just standing there? And then, I don't have a problem with it. I don't really get embarrassed like that. But, I try to be mindful of people. I just didn't know there were... Usually when I go out, there's nobody there. Or there's like one or two people. This time there was a whole family. And these women walked up, and the older one was just kind of... She said, excuse me? And I was like, oh, they must be related. And she's like, sir, are you all right? And I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm having like a really bad panic attack right now. And I just have this, I just have anxiety. And I'm trying to breathe, and they're like, no, I see that. Like, I was just wondering if you needed help. And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. I just have to force myself to be still and quiet, gently force myself. And they said, no, I know what you're going through. I have something like that myself. I'm very aware of that situation. And so if you don't need any help, that's cool, but I just wanted to ask. And I was like, no, I appreciate you, though. And then they triple checked, and that was it. What's up, Mandel? I was just telling everybody about my panic attack that I just had, my anxiety attack. They're not the same thing. Panic and anxiety are not the same thing. I would actually say it was much less of a anxiety attack and more of a panic attack. It's more of that like end of the world kind of feeling. So I came back and worked myself down, fed my cat, took a shower. And that's why I'm late. So I wouldn't say, I mean, I'm doing better, but like I would also say that I'm like, I definitely got some tears trapped in here. We're going to work on that on the YouTube side of things, but I wanted to be able to start the community interaction here because I can share the screen with people, and I thought it would be helpful to do that first because I could have people hang out, and then I could go over and take care of myself and hang out with you guys even more. And maybe it might encourage some people to make the platform jump, and you guys could go from Instagram to YouTube. Okay, let me look at the comments real quick before I get everything rolling. I see a lot of people came in. We got 20 viewers here. Yes, it was very sweet that they were very sweet to me. I'm glad they didn't call the cops again. I'm really happy they didn't claim I was in a domestic violence situation again, because I'm not. I'm just loud. I even apologized to Firefly. I fed my cat, and I was like, I'm sorry that I took so long, and I'm sorry I was loud. I wasn't trying to be. Of course, Firefly is always understanding. Oh, wow, Karen, really? Damn. So do you have, like, regular panic attacks in grocery stores, or what? Is it specifically grocery stores? Do you have a hidden past with grocery stores I don't know about? But, you know, whimsy aside, I'm sorry to hear that you have panic attacks often enough that you have to tell people what's going on. Because it's not a bad thing. It's just, you know, it's overwhelming. So I understand. I sympathize. Thank you for the hugs. And though it's not relevant to what I was saying, it is part of the energy here. Thank you for introducing yourself. I don't know how to say your name. Matthew? I'm going to say that way because it sounds cool. Correct me if I'm wrong. But thanks for being here. I'm happy to know that you're a fan of Chester and specifically, and that you're a drummer, and I appreciate your condolences. Thank you. Oh, damn, same guy. He said, have you any advice for me? I broke my shoulder 4 years ago due to a seizure. 4 bones were broken at once, and the doctor messed up my surgery, and it really sucks. No, I don't have any advice for that in particular. That sounds like a nightmare, and I'm very sorry that happened to you. That is, you know, seizures are difficult enough, but to have had a seizure and to have hurt yourself in such a, or to have been hurt, not you didn't hurt yourself, but to have been hurt in such a significant way is, and then to have the surgery messed up, what? That's a lot. I have advice about anxiety and panic and other things like that, intrusive thoughts and whatnot. Mental stuff, but I've never broken a bone. I'm actually extremely resilient. I fell out of a tree. I fell 12 feet, hit every branch on the way down, and landed in gravel on my back. Bruised my lower back, couldn't walk for 3 days, and then now just have the occasional shift in my lower back that needs to be accounted for. I don't break. I just don't. The only thing that broke on my body is this tooth right here. That's half a fake tooth. You can't really see. This was snapped in half by a mountain bike. I was walking it, went up a curb, and I was much smaller than the bike. It was meant for like a full-grown adult. I was like 10 years old. And I went up, and the suspension went, whoop, bam, hit me in the face. Everybody thought it was funny. It wasn't. I had literal, like, you know, the stringy spaghetti nerves hanging out your face. Yeah, it was awful. But I would be happy to give you advice on that. Maybe you already commented. I'm going to move down the comments now. Also, real quick before I move on from this, I just want to say I actually know somebody who slipped a disc in their lower back and got surgery here in Arizona, and their surgeon fucked it up. And they were leaking fluid, like cerebral fluid. All their nerves were shredded. Like they basically lost their life. They're still alive, and they went through a lot of therapy. I'm not sure how they're doing now. We're not friends anymore, but hi, Aiden. But that's a long story. I'll tell it a different time. But yeah, so I kind of know a little bit about what you may have gone through, not from personal experience, but from observing someone else go through it. Damn, no move. Okay, yeah, you did respond. No movement in your arm. And you're only 25. That's young. I'm only a couple years older than you. Rough. Oh, thank you, Karen, for shouting out Matthew, helping them find a good resource. So many messed surgeries. I'm so sorry, you guys, that so many of you have had messed up surgeries. Okay. Yeah, I'm okay. That was a long time ago. That was around the same time that I smashed my tooth. So I was like 11 or 12. Okay. I will continue to interact with the chat. I do want to open up the floor to people who might want to join me. Laying some ground rules real quick. The idea is that I would like to showcase people from all walks of life for no other reason than just to do it. There's nothing advantageous about my position. It's not like that. I just want to get to know you. And though we could do it in the chat like we do on YouTube, it's not the same thing. Last time we did it, it was super fun. We had like 4 really cool interactions. So please, if any of you are wanting, willing, and able, share with me some art, share with me how your day is going, share with me some things that you're dealing with that are challenging if you're feeling comfortable enough to share in front of everybody. And whatever else might come to your mind, just come hang out. And I'll wait. I'll talk until then. I really want to cry. I got like stuff in here. I have a lot of trauma in my chest and my diaphragm, so I'm gonna have to work that out later. Another thing we could talk about is dreams. I've been talking to people about their dreams lately, and Crimson, you can request. I think it's in your. I don't know. Does anybody know how that works? Because I'm not on that side. I have a button here. Maybe I can. Oh, they call them co-hosts. You have no requests. Request to join. I can't. Oh, I can add people. Oh, I can add people. Haha. I can pick people out. Well, if you want to come on, Crimson, I will absolutely send you a request. We can cry later. I can't get it out. Hi. How are you?
Okay. How are you?
I'm doing better. I'm probably going to cry later. It'll be great.
Oh.
It's just stuck inside, I feel it. So I'm like, I'll just
Yeah.
kick it loose later.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a pretty bad anxiety too. I can't even see you
You can't see
anymore. This is weird.
me? How about now if I do this? Can you see me now?
No.
Oh, man. Okay, why? Why not? Let's see if I can fix that.
Oh, that's weird.
Nope. Okay, I turned off my camera. Maybe it's just a connection issue. I can see you.
I don't know.
Let's talk
Good.
through it and see if it fixes itself. How are you doing today?
Yeah.
What are you up to?
Um.
Everybody, I'm friends with Crimson. We talk all the time, like almost every day,
Yep.
for a long time
Yep.
now. So yeah, Crimson's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
No, just a normal hanging out, not doing too much around here. Kind of boring.
Boring. Are you working on any
Boring.
art? You were kind of making some
Not
paintings the
today.
last couple days.
Not today. Just the color by number thing that I do. That might actually help anxiety.
Yeah.
The little it's just easy. It's like they already have your colors, already have the picture. It's just numbered, and you can take your stylus or your finger or whatnot and just it's like a puzzle. It's cool
Yeah.
and
No, you made me
addicting.
one. It was if you guys
Yeah, I made you
remember,
one.
I
Yep.
changed my profile picture a couple days back when I had my last meltdown, and I shared that with y'all. Crimson sent me one of these coloring things and these pictures, and it was so cool. It was if you remember, it was like a blue mandala. It was like almost like a flower. It was really cool. But I
They
appreciate you
had
sending
several
that
of
to me.
those there, by the way.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to receive that. It was nice to have someone I know send me something because I wasn't feeling good, and I was like, oh, this is neat. I don't usually get this. This is super uh,
If I knew you
comforting.
weren't
It's
feeling good, I
helpful.
would have sent you another one.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I didn't tell anybody. That's why I was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
try to get myself into a neutral place so I can start. And then if I have emotions later, I'm not gonna fight them. But I don't want to like be late and be like, I'm coming, guys, and then show up on camera and be like, oh, I had the worst day. I just want to create like an environment for everyone so they can have that interaction, you know. But
Yeah.
do you have to cry? Do you want to share tears? Shed them even?
God, no.
You said, God,
Right. Yeah.
no. That's all right. It's all good. Is Sage there?
I've cried so many tears that I just don't cry hardly.
Oh no. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I know how that feels.
You
Uh,
know my living situation is
yeah.
not very ideal.
Yeah, it's stressful. And but this time you came on screen, so I'm happy to see you.
Yes. Yes, I made it a point to come on screen today,
Yeah, you were
and
shy
which is
last time.
I'm facing one of my fears because me and
Yeah,
cameras don't get along.
yeah. No, you get along. You're doing great. Is Sage? Do you think Sage is tough enough? You think they want to come on and say hi?
She's not
Oh,
here right now.
okay,
She's
perfect.
I
I
think she's charging her phone.
okay.
She's
So,
like, Mom, I don't want to be on camera. Mom, don't put me on camera,
yeah,
Mom.
yeah.
She
Last
goes
time
on
they.
camera all the time, which is so funny.
No, I know. This really isn't that much more intense than like Snapchatting or something, you know what I mean? But
Right.
it feels different because it's like we're FaceTiming in front of 20 other people.
God
But
knows who else will see this.
last time they were off the side and you both were saying you were shy, so I just wanted to see if they were there
Mhm.
and include
Yeah,
them if
we're
they
like,
were.
"Oh, we don't want to do this. We don't want to do this.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do today? You just hanging out? You said that you're not doing much.
Yeah, just hanging out. I'll probably wind up doing some art. Probably when we get to the YouTube. My God, blank.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We're gonna do that. We're gonna have probably a little bit of a longer one today. Today is actually the start. Well, it's the second day of the yellow meditation, so we have some
Oh,
resetting to do. It's going to be really fun, and I'll be
it's
working
really
on.
interesting because I didn't even know your colors, and I was thinking of yellow the
Oh,
other
were
day. It
you?
was so weird.
Nice. Yeah, you probably were picking it up. Yeah, so the last 30 days, which this ended on the 11th, the 10th, sorry, was the brown meditation. That's 30 days, and then every 30 days the color switches. So
Ah,
um, this is the second round of yellow. This is the second year I'm running my color system, so I'm very excited to be back. If you told me last year during yellow that I'd be here doing this, I'd be like, what are you talking about? There's no way.
yeah, you're on something, right?
We are here though. It's awesome. I want to make sure that sometimes people comment while we're talking. I just want to make sure. Maybe somebody's saying something. Oh, Amy said they're still nervous. How do you feel
Mm-hmm.
facing your fear, Crimson? Is it as challenging as you thought it would be?
As bad as it, it's not that bad.
I'm glad that you feel comfortable up
Yeah.
here. Oh, everybody's talking about color by numbers, and I honestly, that used to be one of my favorite things to do. Or
Oh,
do you know those like they're kind of like tinfoil, but you scratch them and they have different colors underneath, and so you
I
can scratch
haven't
your own
done
picture.
that, but that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying. I could describe it better probably, but they were really popular back in like the 90s, early 2000s. And it's like I want to say Etch-a-Sketch because it's not an Etch-a-Sketch. I know what an Etch-a-Sketch is, but it's
Yeah.
like it's like a piece of paper and it has a black coating on it, so it's like tinted, so to speak. And then you basically take like a sharp object. It's kind of like when you get like a gift card or something, you have to scratch off the coat on the back with a coin or something. It's like a thing
Yeah.
you had to do
Yeah.
back in the old days. And it's like that, but it's a piece of paper with different colors on it, so you can scratch a picture into it.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you talking about the one that has like the rainbow and then there's like black that you
Yeah,
scratch?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we used to home make those in
You used
school.
to
Yeah.
make them in
I know what
school.
you're talking. Yeah, you can actually make those and put like black paint over crayon or some kind of or really really color the rainbow like really hard with black
Yeah,
crayon and then etch it
I'm getting
with like
like
safety pins and
a
stuff like
ton
that.
of ideas right now. I'm like, wait, I could do that. That's so easy. I'm
Yeah,
just,
it's pretty easy. It might even be paint. I don't remember exactly. That was a long time ago.
I'm wondering if it was acrylic because I feel
It
like
could have been.
acrylic peels off pretty easy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were peeling it off with like these special utensils that you just had to put like a little bit of pressure on it and make pictures out of it.
Yeah, yeah, that's so cool. Now, when you started talking about that, I remembered being in school, like as a preschooler or like a kindergartner, and like
Mhm.
when they give you the shaving cream and they let you play with it, and then it's on the desk, and you're like, yeah,
That
oh
was
my
fun. That
god,
was
yeah.
fun.
That's just I got like a whiff. I got a whiff of the cream in my face. I can smell it right now. I can almost see tutor time. Do you guys have tutor time on that side of the country?
The what?
It's a thing called tutor time. It's like a
No.
pre-K through first.
That
Not
was
first.
cool.
Probably like, I think it's
Ball
first week.
lady. Say hi.
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 Hi. Is that them?
That was Evan. That was my son.
Okay. I was like, I've never seen. I don't think I've ever seen your face or Sage's face, so I was a little confused for a second. But hi. Thanks for saying
Go get
hello.
her. Evan is not camera shy at all. He's only 8, so he doesn't know
He doesn't care.
that part yet. He doesn't care.
He
If anything, he wants to be in the camera.
I love that. Well, they can if you're comfortable with it. It's up to you. But
You want to come say hi again?
you want to say a little more than that?
Hi.
Hi. How are you doing today?
Good.
Yeah.
You tell him about your Roblox. You
Ro-
want to tell him about Roblox?
Roblox
Roblox.
or roadblock?
Roblox.
Road.
It's hard to say it.
It is hard to
Roblox. The game.
say. I never played
You
that,
had
but
a
I know what it
great view
is.
of our bunk beds too here.
I love that it's pink.
Yep.
I used to have a blue
That's
bunk
where
bed.
the girls sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for saying hello, Evan. I appreciate it. It's nice to meet you. I think I talked to you like once or twice before, but I never get to see your face.
Go get your sister. Put her on the spot.
I'm seeing some new
Evil
people.
mommy. Me, the whole thing.
Let's see here. I think there was a couple. Justice, are you still here? I see Justice responded to me. I hung out with a guy named Justice yesterday. He hit me up, and I was like,
Hmm.
"You can hang out with me tomorrow." And I want to see if you're still
Come here, child.
here.
You want to just say hi?
Oh, are
Just say
they
hi. One,
here?
2, 3.
Oh yeah, you made it. Hi, how are you? How's your
She
day?
wants to go back to her cave now.
That's okay. That's okay.
She's like,
Appearances
out
are
of here.
everything. Well, thanks for showing your face. I appreciate it. Okay, cool.
It's harder.
Oh, you want to see the emotional flounder. This is him. This is
Oh,
Flounder. This
nice.
is our emotional fish.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
Emotional
And
flounder.
this is the emotional fish. Yes,
He,
emotional
it
flounder.
kind of looks, I'm watching Adventure Time again, and it kind of looks like some of the, what they call them? Space larb. It's not I don't think it's like lard like, like fat, but it's like, they have these noses and It just has that kind of shape.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they call them. I don't remember, but I love the emotional support fish. And thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, I told Crimson this, but my mother Elka, her original names for me were Malachi and Sebastian, and it ended up being Jamie. But the funny thing is that she wanted Malachi because she'd seen the Children of the Corn. So I guess Stephen King was just sutured into my life force from before I was born. And then, which by the way, I watched the movie recently and I have no fucking idea why they would want to name me Malachi after the guy in that movie. That sounds awful. And I can't ever understand why people like my mom could be mad at me for being so vocal about things, considering the fact that they wanted to name me after a guy like Malachi. Okay, anyways. But then they also wanted to name me Sebastian because they were a big fan of The Little Mermaid. So when I found out that Crimson had that plush, I was like, holy shit, that's so weird, that's so cool. But it also is interesting,
The Little Mermaid.
the flounder is yellow, the
Yeah.
emotional support fish, which is the
Yeah.
color of this month's meditation. So
Yeah, I feel like I should explain it a little bit more because I
yeah,
remember
if you
someone.
want to.
Yeah, it's kind of like having a teddy bear. Um, he started getting passed around when one of my kids was upset, and I said, "Do you want to cuddle with Flounder?" And I
Yeah,
don't know if it's because Flounder is my fish. I don't know if it's that. This is like the only stuffy I have, and they're like, "Yeah, Mom, I want to cuddle with Flounder," and he wanted it being the plushie that both my kids go to when they're upset.
I love that. I love that you have neutral transitional objects to interact with,
Hmm.
because emotions can be really tough and they like to snowball. You know, they
Hmm.
once you buy into it, sometimes they go, "Oh, you want more?" It's like, "No, stop selling me things." It's like, "Yeah, but you really want this though," and it's like, "No." And so sometimes it can be hard to regulate emotions when you don't have something that's neutral to like anchor onto. And I love that you have a practice of doing that with your children. So thank
Yeah,
you for sharing
yeah.
that part of your life with
You're
us.
welcome.
Let's see. Somebody said, "Oh, helping dogs," which I remember your name. Hold on. It starts with a J, doesn't it? I'm getting like Jules or Julia. I I feel like somebody's name was that. I try to remember some people's names based off their handles, and then like sometimes Beth will get on, and I'll call them Louie instead because I forget that it's Beth, and then I'm like, oh damn, and it happens more often than not. So helping dogs, can you please remind me what your name is? I think I'm wrong. But they said that they bought a teddy bear recently that breathes and has a heart.
Oh yeah,
And think that's
yeah,
literal. Now that I'm reading it again, I'm like, oh, I think it actually does that. But I
yeah.
thought that they said it right when you said that you were saying some stuff about the support fish that it sounded almost exactly the same. So I kind of like got them mixed up for a second. But I have a feeling that they're saying that they actually have a teddy bear that really breathes and actually has a heartbeat, which is
Yeah, yeah, I've heard of
I've
those.
never.
I've heard of those. So, yeah.
Ooh, that's
Some of them are put into like a newborn, like not a newborn, but you know, when it's safe around babies and toddlers, so it can mimic the mother's heartbeat, like in the womb and stuff. I don't know if that's the same thing, but yeah,
that's actually very
yeah.
cool. I've never
Hmm.
heard of that. Um, it does. It makes sense. I see
Hmm.
why that was real, but I didn't ever think that that was a thing. Um, and that's very cool. Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna look down here and see if that is what it is. Oh, it's an otter. That's even cooler. It's an otter with a heartbeat and a breathing
That's
pattern.
cool.
That's wild. What?
Cool.
That's really cool. You know, all these conversations about support plushies and otters is making me think about somehow you guys are right now. You guys are going deep into my childhood. I didn't even remember this until just now. But I had a lot of people thought because my name was Jamie, I was a girl, and because my
Oh,
family, my mom's side of the family was impoverished, they would get gifts from like the church, things like that. You know, they'd be like, well, we can't afford them, so can we have donations? Which is there's nothing wrong with that. And it was a very cool experience, but they thought I was a girl, so they sent me a baby doll. I would play with it like like you would expect like a girl to play with it, I guess. Because I don't give a fuck. I'm like, oh, all right, it's a doll. I'm gonna play with it. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I was playing mommy for a while, and it was really fun. But maybe it was that one, or maybe it was a different one. But they had a bottle with like fake milk in it, and then it would absorb into the tip of the bottle. So when you feed the baby, oh, you know what that was? That's a different thing. It was a Rugrats toy.
Oh,
Both of those things are true. I used to have a little baby that I used to play with. Confused the shit out of people. It was awesome. And then I had a Rugrats toy, which was like a Tommy. It was like the baby with the diaper. He's got tools in it and shit. You feed him with a bottle, and the bottle would absorb the liquid in the tip so that it looked like he was drinking it. And then also I used to have a Bug's Life toy, Flint or Flick, whatever his name is, the protagonist,
I think
the inventor ant. He's the blue guy with
Flick.
the
Yeah, I think it's
Flick.
Flick. Yeah.
He had these bendable antennae, and you could fold it or twist it or whatever, or make it straight, and it had like a wire in it, and it would hold the shape. And I used to chew on it because I used to bite my nails until they bled. So yeah, it was gnarly.
That's
So,
anxiety.
but I was like, it's a lot of anxiety, lots of trauma.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I remember having a toy kind of like that emotional support fish, which I love that sentence. I just keep loving that sentence. The emotional support fish. I used to have an emotional support ant. So this is cool. I didn't know I would get those memories by talking about this. This is really nice. Um, yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna let it breathe for a second. Maybe there's something else to talk about here. I need to breathe anyways. My chest is tight. Not gonna lie.
Take a few deep breaths.
Do you have any nervous tics, Crimson, that are like
All the
biting nails? I see somebody
time.
who was saying that they bite their nails and they can't stop. Or that's Amy. Amy said that. And
I like itch, like my arms itch, and I break out in hives
what?
sometimes.
From stress?
Yep,
Hives?
just from stress.
Isn't that an allergic
Hives.
reaction?
No, no, it's from my nerves. Like if I'm triggered so badly, I will start physically reacting to that trigger. And
Whoa.
hives is one of the symptoms.
Not just, you won't just like mentally interact, you'll like physically
Physically,
manifest that.
yeah.
Wow. That's intense. What's that like? Does that, I mean,
But
obviously it's like itchy and
yeah,
whatnot, but
it's like you start to itch, and then you notice these little red bumps all over you.
yeah. Is that frightening for you?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is. It usually means I'm in a really bad situation.
Oh, I
It
see.
has to be really like worse than I am right now.
Yeah.
It has to be like super bad.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that. That sounds uncomfortable. Thank you
Mhm.
for sharing. I used to bite my nails. I don't bite them anymore. I do sometimes, but I usually choose to at this point. I'm like, oh, my nail's long. Maybe I'll just bite it instead. you know, or I get like OCD about it. Like sometimes the edge of the nail will get chipped or something because my nails. I'm crazy. I'll just like reach at things and like smash my fingernails, and I just don't think about it. And they'll
Ow.
get caught, or I'll be like playing piano or like playing with my pants or something, and the edges will get caught, and I'll be like super OCD about that. I'll be like, I'll bite it until it's better, and then I'll bite it until it's not, and then I'll try to bite it better again. Like, wow, you really put yourself in a spiral right there. So I don't usually bite my nails anymore. I actually stopped maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, but I consciously bite them specifically to keep them clean. And then I was like, oh, wait, is that one of the reasons I started? Because, sometimes it's not, sometimes anxious behaviors come from behaviors that aren't initially anxious. Like maybe I was just, I had sensory challenges. I was just like biting my nails as a kid. And then all of a sudden I was stressed out or traumatized. And I was like, oh, I'm going to keep biting. And now it became a nail biting problem instead of something I just did as like a sensory tick.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's possible. Um, I don't get hives or anything like that. I'll just punch myself in the face. I've stopped doing that too. But that was a hard thing for me for a long time. Like instead of, I'll get like hot and sweaty, and then my body will literally just start acting on its own. And usually,
Yeah,
I don't really hurt
I
people,
do get the sweats.
but I hurt
The
me.
sweats. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's awful. It's like I'll get wet. I'm wet, and then I have snot, and I'm like, oh my god, my nose just won't stop. Or my tears go from my eyes out my nostrils, and so it's really tough sometimes. And one of the hardest things to do, especially because I was raised with physically aggressive people, so I'd be punished physically for things. So when I grew up and I was handling really intense challenges, emotional challenges, I would hit other things, not people, but like I go for a walk and just like speed walk 6 miles or whatever the fuck, by the time I was able to drive a car, I would get in my car and then I'd like punch the ceiling or something. But like eventually, when I became self-isolated on accident in college, I would actually start hitting myself, and I didn't realize that was the thing I was doing, and like it didn't like consciously occur to me like, oh, I'm hitting myself. It was like I'm in my emotion and I'm expressing the emotion. And then I realized, wait, I'm just beating myself up. And it was actually after Chester died that it was in the winter right after he died that I was speed walking at like 3 a.m. around my neighborhood in Tucson because I went to school at the University of Arizona. And I was blasting the Last Shadow Puppets in my ears, which is the Alex Turner band. And he's one of my spirit animals. There you go. And I was punching my fists together, like like this, and because I figured out that I could retrain my emotional process to a different emotion if I created enough physical stimulation. And then I stopped and I went, "What the fuck am I doing?" I was like, "Wait, hold on a second. I'm hitting myself. I'm hitting myself. I'm really hitting myself. Why am I doing this?" And then I stopped and I was like, "Wait, I've been doing this for a long time." And yet it still didn't even occur to me that I was self-harming until like 3 or 4 years later when I learned the words for it. It was the same thing where I was walking around telling people that I wasn't suicidal, but at the same time, by telling them I wasn't suicidal, I was literally saying that I was suicidal. And then when I caught it, I turned around and I was like, "Hey guys, why did nobody tell me I was saying I was suicidal?" And they were like, "Oh, I didn't know." And I was like, "Oh, you didn't know, but you're literally talking about these things all day, every day." And it's not a dismissive thing or an attacking thing that I'm not trying to go at people. I'm just saying like it's interesting to really what I'm getting around to is like it's interesting how my language barrier, my cognitive processing challenges contributed to self-harm that I wasn't even aware of. I thought that was normal, and then I changed it, and I was like, oh. And nowadays I might slip and like give myself a little slap, but I don't hit myself like that. So don't worry, I'm not actually that bad anymore. But that's like my hives, right? That's like my physical manifestation. My body literally gets possessed by the emotion it's feeling and will take it out on the body. It's like when a body rejects like an organ after you get a transplant. It's like, this is not my eye, this is not my heart, this is not my kidney. My body's like, this is not my reality. And try to destroy it. And I have to like sit there and be like, no, calm down. Which is why I brought up 2 weeks ago when I had my last breakdown, and I said that I was going through something, and I shared it with everybody, and I still got online. It's because I was like, no, these are constructive patterns. Deconstructive patterns are ones where you hate yourself for things and you don't move forward and you don't try to, or at least in my experience, for me, is when I don't try to shake the energy into something else, because it will change. I just have to do it, and it's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I appreciate you sharing that aspect of your life with me. I did not know
I
that
see
you
you,
break it.
darling. I see my daughter just came on.
Oh, are they on here? They're watching us?
I just
You're
saw her come on.
you're freaking hilarious. I'm trying to see now. I want to see, are they
She's probably laughing in there.
here? Yeah, it just gets on to go, ha. All right. I saw them the other day. They were like, "Hi, Mom. It's me. I think I know you." And I was like, that's such a Jamie thing to do. I would totally act that way. That's me, 100%. So I understand. This person has an emotional Snoopy. That's pretty.
Sweetie.
Where are you? You get aches in your Amy?
SAG 31 WM2 is her.
What did you just say to me? Oh, I see you. Okay. I see you. That's all right. It says Sage with a 3. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. I got
Hi,
you.
baby.
Hi, Sage.
Saul.
Amy says that they get stressed or irritated and they get an ache in their arms, which I also understand.
That's anxiety.
That
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
you gotta watch that too, because that's also a sign of a heart attack. So definitely watch that.
Oh, I didn't know that. Which is
Yeah,
actually really interesting. I watched
pain in the arm.
say that again. Sorry.
The pain in the arm is a sign of also having a heart attack. So you
Woke
watch
up with
that.
hurt arms this morning. Don't say that. My arms hurt today. Shut up.
Yeah, but you just had a panic attack, so maybe that.
No, I drank some whiskey last night, and I was just goofing with it, and I woke up after some very interesting dreams. Like, if any of you all are in my dream space, can you guys stop fucking freezing? I just have these weird dreams where there's lots of people, and then they all of a sudden they're just like they're in the middle of something, and then all of a sudden they're like, and it's not sinister or anything. And then all of a sudden everybody's back online again. And I'm like, guys, stop. I was just annoyed last night. Like, I woke up and I was like, gee, everybody just kept fucking holding still. And I was just like, can we please stop doing that? Like, why are you guys treating me like this? And it's just like, you know, when someone messes with you too much and you're like, it's not funny anymore. But I woke up and my arms hurt. So I'm curious. I probably won't have a heart attack, but
Let's
um, I
hope
know
not.
that I know that I drank Jack Daniels last night specifically to be closer to Chester. So I'm pretty sure that I was just releasing stress. Um,
Yeah, that date is coming up. I'm not happy about that. And,
no, you want to talk about that? How do you feel about that?
well, um,
And
the
why?
first year the first year he died. You know, I was like everybody else. I took it horribly. I couldn't eat. I'm an emotional eater, so me saying that I can't eat when I'm an emotional eater is it's pretty bad.
I hear that.
I took his death worse than I took my own parents, my adopted parents.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't very good people, but you know,
Oh,
I never met Chester before in my life, except for that little bit of online interaction we had. That was it.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's for those of you who don't know, Crimson has like a very interesting history with Chester. And as do many people, like my friend Trish, who I used to talk about, you know, like last year, but um, and also some other people. You know, a lot of you guys have very interesting interactions with Chester, including Justice, who was the guy I was looking for in the chat. I was like, is he still here? Um, and I love that you guys share these stories because you know there was a guy who came to me. He was like, "Why are you trying to make Mike Shinoda the bad guy? Like, I think you're just trying to place blame." And I was like, "No, I don't think so. You know, like I think I'm just talking about the reality of what I'm experiencing." And you know, I don't mean to be negative all the time, but in a sense, like I don't mean to make it sound negative, like all my experiences are bad. It's just like right now I'm in a deficit, so I have to like talk about the things before I can talk about the good things because everybody knows that when you bring the good things in, the bad things suddenly disappear. It's like, oh well, but they're so nice though, so it doesn't matter. And it's like, wait, okay, before we get to the they're so nice thing, let's talk about the thing that happened because that was not nice. So when I talked to them about it, I just kind of was like, you know, I appreciate because they were saying they were ignorant too. They were like, you know, my perspective is ignorant. It doesn't matter. And I was like, no, it's not though. You have, you know, there are two worlds. There's the personal world where he's a dad and he's you know a husband and all
Yeah.
these things and a friend. And then there's the other world where he's an artist and that's what he does. That's his job, right? He's an Olympic athlete and what he does for a living is perform. And so there's essentially Chester's a coin with two faces, and on one side there's the interactions that all of you have, and then there's on the other side the interactions that I have. None of them are greater or worse, you know. Really, I can't say like, oh, that's my dad. You can't say that. I used to say stuff like that, but as I understand more about the situation and as I become better at understanding people, the more I can understand like no, when I say Alex Turner is one of my spirit animals, and he's a musician, that's the same thing for you guys, right? Like I would have the
Yeah,
same
it's fine.
emotional interaction. And
Evan's
so,
fine. He's just yelling at the game. Sorry.
what's that?
No, I wasn't showing it, but
Evan yelled at the game, and Selena was a little bit
Oh. Okay.
watching the movie. You like, are you okay?
You got some wires crossed? I feel that.
Maybe emotional fish. Do you need flounder? No. Okay.
Um, but it's not
Do
ignorant.
you need the emotional fish?
Yeah, I will. I'm holding it right now. See, I got it.
Okay.
We're hugging
Okay.
right now. I'm holding the
Okay.
fish. I'm feeling the support, and I feel like it's more important than ever to get different perspectives on things like this
Yeah.
because in reality, you have a parasocial relationship that was carefully cultivated by a person who wanted that relationship. So it's like for people to have feelings about the death and to have feelings about the date coming up and all those things, that's real. Like that's a totally valid thing to experience. And I just these days I just wouldn't discount it. There's no way. So or dismiss it, I mean. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that because and some people
Yeah.
get shy about it. They're like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. Or you don't like last time we had that woman from Peru, Andrea, and she was like, I felt this way, but I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it. Like I don't know if this is offensive. I don't know if I can share this with you because even the people in my life don't want to hear it. And it's like, or they don't understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah. I get that.
I get,
I get that.
yeah, I know you get it. That's why we hang out. That's why we talk like all the
Yes.
time. I know. Um, and for some of you, you don't know how like what it means when I say that I talk to Crimson all the time. What I mean by that is that I actually talk to Crimson all the time. Like I literally just sent them I just sent Sage like a birthday gift. So like I literally talk to them like all the time. and this relationship
Which
was
she loved it.
oh yeah, I know. I was so happy to hear that they got to express themselves and all that and
Yep.
bring their internal vision for themselves
Yes.
into the forefront of their expression because that means a lot. That's like a really big deal, and it's very hard to understand yourself and to express yourself a certain way. And I would know, and so I'm happy to hear that they got to do that. But I bring that up only to illustrate how close that we actually are because I'm not bragging or anything. It's not like yeah, well I said that. No, it's like okay, like I'm serious about these conversations. I'm serious about these interactions, and we actually do talk to each other. So
The compassion is real.
yeah,
This
the
compassion
compassion is
real.
real. Yeah, yeah. I like that sentence too. I like emotional support fish, and the compassion is real. Let's see. I'm going to go down the comments real quick. And by the way, you guys don't have to wait for me to be done talking to someone to send an invite. So if any of you want to get on, send it so I can see that you want to. Otherwise, I'm going to continue to talk to the same person. You know what I mean? So Justice, if you want to jump on, feel free to send that invite. Or if you need me to invite you because it's confusing, which I know a lot of people have been confused about how to use this, and I have too, let me know. Or anybody else. If Mandel wants to jump on, I see Mandel's here. If Amy, if you want to face your fears. I'm going to go through this and read some comments real quick because you guys are commenting on things that we are talking about, and I want to make sure we cover all of it. Okay. Oh, Karen said they had a math teacher who would break out in hives,
Oh. Oh
which is
my.
very stressful. There's not,
Yeah.
I feel like especially in like a educational setting, like you're a lot of the safety that you feel in that environment comes from your teachers, and I'm sure that must have been alarming to see someone stressed out that much, or even if you didn't know what was going on, that you're like, oh, that's strange, and then later you find out, you're like, oh shit, my teacher was going through a lot. I wish I knew at the time, that happened to me a couple times in my history. I was like, I didn't understand adults in my life, and then I went back and I was like, oh, oh, oh no. I had no idea you were dealing with that. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it can be stressful.
What was that?
I can see that. It can be stressful. I used to have to watch like 6 1-year-olds, and I was like a teacher from daycare,
Oh,
and it was
okay.
stressful. It was, especially when they all needed diaper changes and oh,
Yeah, when they synchronize their poops, it's amazing.
yes. Like, what is this?
truly stunning. Amy bites their nails. It's a PTSD thing, and you don't like dirty nails.
Yeah.
I used to feel the same way, and then people would get on me about, why are you eating your nails? Are you hungry? It's like, leave me alone. Or they'd be like, you know how disgusting that is? Oh, one of Chester's bodyguards, KP, he was
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, like, biting your nails is super dangerous. And we were on tour, like we're out in a place that I don't know, so I can't just go home. I'm like trying to hang out. I'm trying to enjoy this, and he's like, you should stop biting your nails. You know what happens when you bite too low? I mean, look at my nails; they're pretty long right now. Well, you know what happens when you get too low is that you get infected nail beds, and they have to take these needles and they have to stab you with them and do a local anesthetic, and then they have to cut them. And he really was trying to get me to like start doing it, and I was like, and so when people would do that to me, I would literally double down and just bite, like, oh really? That's crazy. Yeah. I hope that happens, because you're being mean to me right now. And of course, it's all in good fun. He's not trying to be mean. He's just trying to generate awareness. But at the same time, like, people tell me all the time, well, you're gonna have worms in you. You're not, leave me alone, guys. I was beaten as a child. Leave me alone. You know what I mean? Like, I'm biting my nails. I'm getting over it. If you don't want to help me figure out why I'm biting my nails, then stop talking about it. You don't need to shame me for it. Wow. And but yeah, I mean, and by the way, I see some people in here saying, like, it makes me sad to hear the things that you've been through, but the truth is like, pretty much everybody's been through the same things. So I appreciate the acknowledgement, but also I'm not special at all. Let's see. Yeah, Justice. Oh yeah, Justice. They told me they were a big fan of Chester's. Like, they really looked up to him, and their birthday is.
You should tell us about it.
Yeah, you should. I think that they might have sent something here, but they told me that their birthday was like the day before, which is rough. Especially like people like Andrea as well. It's like they chose to take care of their kid instead of go to the concert, and they never got to see him. It's like wild.
I almost invited my kid, who was only like 5 years old at the time, and I'm like asking Lincoln Park, is this safe for children? Is this safe for children?
Is it safe for children? What, the concert?
Yeah.
I think it's okay. I think he might say fuck a couple times.
I almost took you to the concert in August of 2017, dear.
Here, let's see.
Yeah, I can't, she remembers. Yeah, because the dad wasn't, or my ex wasn't a fan, so I'm like, I want to go with a non-fan. I want to go with a hater. I'm going to go with a fan. She was a fan.
Yeah.
No, because that was just sad.
Yeah.
Wait, are you both on live in the same room?
Well, she had an emergency.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I hope you resolve that emergency. I see here that Karen wants to join. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I can't wait to see you. And I will we talk all the time, so this is not goodbye, but it's a thank you. I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate you getting on here and showing your face. I know that was a challenge last time, and I'm proud of you for overcoming your fears, and I hope this helped with that, especially because I know that you wanted to do your own live streams. So, yay!
Yay! Victory!
Victory! Community! Woo! Okay, I'm going to add Karen now. Karen, if you're not ready, you're about to be surprised. What? Wait, let's see if it accepts. I don't know if you have to leave or not.
I don't know how to leave.
I don't know how this works. Oh, Karen's also. I can add multiple people?
Oh, we're all together.
Oh no! It turned into a party.
Oh, wait, I'm dark.
You're dark.
Hold on.
You are dark. Where are you?
I'm in
Try
my room.
flipping your camera. I had to flip mine.
I'm going to turn my light on. Hold on.
Karen's like, it's dark in here. I wonder why.
Like, I want to stay in the dark. I don't want you guys to see me.
Yeah, my dog's sleeping.
Amazing.
Sorry.
That's all good.
Oh, okay.
I think you do have to end it on your side, though, if you want to leave. Since we're both on here, I don't mind. But if you do want to go, I think you have to actually end it on your side. You're free to stay, but I think that's the way it works. Hi, Karen. I haven't seen you before
Hi.
either. I have not.
It's nice to meet you
It's
guys.
nice to meet you.
All both of you, all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I found Jamie like a while back just following different Chester fan sites and stuff, and um there was something about you that just, I don't know if it was like a truth or maybe it was just your aura, but something inviting that like made me feel like I wanted to follow you. Like,
work for you. But I have a problem with. Honestly, you took a lot more than the price.
I hear so. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've just had crazy week. I
What was the
take care of my dad. He's 80, and he's in a rehab facility, and he's being discharged
Yeah, you were
this
saying
week.
that.
Yeah. So I've been like super stressed about it, and just like ending up sitting in my room with like no lights on and just like thinking and not being able to get out of my head and not being able to, I can't change my thoughts. And like one of my friends called and they're like, oh, well, think about something else. I'm like, really?
Oh, okay.
That's your advice?
Yeah.
So I was looking forward to tonight.
Okay.
I missed Tuesday because I hadn't slept at all the night before, so I just passed out early.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was looking forward to tonight and just being able to share and be around, because I feel like everybody's very welcoming, and I think we all kind of are kindred spirits.
I agree.
Yeah,
We all get along
and
really well.
yeah, and I saw a couple comments come through that people were saying they had a lot of anxiety and stress since their father had passed. Obviously, Jamie, you have your reasons with your father passing, and it, part of what makes me anxious is that like I feel guilty for being nervous to bring him home and take care of him and have to change his diapers and do all that stuff, but you guys don't get the chance to do that stuff with your dads anymore or ever.
Yeah.
So I am blessed that he's still here, but it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah. It is a double-edged sword. Thank you for sharing that. I know you had talked about it in, I think it was the DMs maybe on Instagram, but it also might have been on the YouTube last time. I can't remember. You brought it up. I don't remember exactly how and when, but
I was trying to tell you that I wasn't like just like a creepy person. I was like a 50-year-old woman that takes care of her father and has a lot of time on my hands.
No, yeah, because you were offering to help me set up like
if you needed help with anything.
Yeah,
right.
and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that, part of your life with us about taking care of your father and bringing him home and your nervousness. Because it is a really big thing and it's a huge undertaking. I mean,
it is. And I have 3 older brothers. And again, any of you that have large families and lots of siblings, there are so many crazy dynamics in a big family.
Many crazy dynamics, absolutely.
And it's really hard to navigate through that. So, yeah. And we lost my mom like 6 years ago. And so she was the one that I was always like, was on my side with everything.
Yeah.
Now my dad is like that with me, but it's weird how when you lose different people, how the dynamics change. And
it's a real give and take.
Yeah.
It's a real give and take.
And a lot of the like we're in Florida, and I have some more family in New Jersey, like brothers in New Jersey and stuff, and they have all kinds of advice. They love to give advice. Like, you should be doing it this way, and you should be doing it that way. And I'm blessed that my brother down here is we're on the same page, but
I'm
each one
glad you have somebody.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I know what it's like to get advice from people, and
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
I'm that one.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's just I feel guilty, but I feel stressed and nervous. So it's just a lot of anxiety on me right now. Like you wouldn't. I've already taken like 5 milligrams of Xanax, and you'd never know it. It sounds like I've taken Adderall. This is the way I'm talking so fast and everything. I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah,
wired.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
That's
So
intense. Yeah, I understand that too. You know, your nervousness and your anxiety and not being able to sleep and things like that. That's oh, hey, Branson.
yeah,
That's a very real reality for a lot of people, whether they're taking care of their parents or not. And I know tons of people who, you know, you're like, I didn't even sleep, or like, I'm in my room with my light off. I got friends telling me to just change my thought pattern. It's like,
yeah,
it's not that easy. And that's why I was like, that's why I was saying before, it's like, I could change my energy, but it takes a lot of effort. Like, you really have to just go with it. Like, cause you don't feel
yeah,
it. That's the thing, is like, at least in my experience, you know, I'm speaking for myself at this point. Like, you know, because my body is possessed by the entirety of the feeling, it's like, okay, I have to not, I can't feel the thing that I'm trying to feel. So like, if I want to change the energy, I'm not going to feel it. That's what I realized,
uh,
is like, I'm not going to feel it. I'm going to have to go and do whatever I'm doing, like whatever the thing is I'm doing to help myself. I
like if
have to
you
go
go out and decide to go like on a scavenger hunt or something,
scavenger
that's gonna
hunt. Yeah, that's very helpful. Or even if I, you
yeah,
know, I have like a list of things like, okay, put the blocks down and don't go past those. And it's like, it's literally like it's like an invisible blind staircase. And I can't, I literally have to, like, I
interesting.
won't feel it. I will feel terrible the entire time. But it's like, you know, right now I'm here, even though I just
Yeah,
had that meltdown.
yeah,
But I had to stop, breathe, say what I needed to say,
yeah.
and then leave it alone, and then go take a shower
Do
and
that.
go feed my cat. Just do things I know that need to be done, so I can create like a neutral energy, and
Yeah,
then go
and kind of
online and do this so that I
getting
can
out
get into
of
the
the
emotion I want.
environment that you were in when you
Yes.
started the anxiety or panic or
Yeah.
whatever it was. Just
Whatever energy I want, I
removing
have to
from
embody it.
environment.
Yeah,
When
and it's
what?
whatever energy I need to embody
Yeah,
it. And the thing
I
about being
I agree with that.
in the energy is that when you're in something, you can't be anything else, right? Like, if you're upset, you're upset. And so in order to be happy, you have to become unupset, but they're not the same emotion. So you just have to
No,
find
but
ways to leverage them. And that's really, really hard.
it is, and it's spot on. But it is really, really hard to do that. But
Yeah.
it's absolutely spot on.
It's necessary, and I
Hmm.
understand that, you know, I feel like the advice you got of like, oh, just change what you're thinking about, is the same advice energy that we were talking about with your family members. It's like,
Yes, exactly,
that's not
exactly.
helpful. That
I
doesn't
even
really work
went to
out.
a therapist once, and he was telling me, he said, "Okay, so what upsets you?" So I start telling him some things that are bothering me, and he goes, "Okay, so what I want you to do at night is take those thoughts and put them on a shelf."
Yeah.
And I just looked at him. I'm like, "Put them on a shelf? Like,
Which
I
one?
wouldn't be sitting here if I could do that.
What the hell are you
Like,
talking about?
I can't compartmentalize like that. Jesus."
Well, I feel like too, you know, I talk about astral projection differently than some people. In my mind, the only reason we can communicate is through what you might call astral projection. I'm communicating my internal perception to you. Now, you and I have very different, I told Justice this too yesterday. I said, you know, it's amazing that we communicate at all as people, because we come from different cultural backgrounds, different walks of
Yeah,
life, different traumas,
yeah,
different joys, different political backgrounds, different, you know,
right,
some of us haven't had homes for
right,
more than 6 months at a time for 10 years. Some of us have never left home.
right.
And all those things matter. And I think that in terms of astral projection, you know, that's what it is. That is that leveraging of
Just give me some
information, right?
chicken and
Like,
rice. It's
I
fine.
feel like in order to be something different, you have to acknowledge it and then move into it, even when it's not real. And when compartmentalization comes up in terms of therapy talk, I always dismiss
Yeah,
it, because in my mind, it's not something to separate from. You know, like in words of therapists that I have been around, they're always like, well, you need to separate. And I'm like, well, it's not separate. Everything that I ever was brought me to this moment. So there's no way I can separate myself from what came
Yeah.
before. And some people can, but also there's a visualization element that I have a hard time with. I have what I think is aphantasia, which is the challenge in producing mental images. I experience things in a different way. I don't see things in my head. I feel things, or I get like, I will literally project informational pictures. It won't be like, you know, okay, remember that scene in the movie? And then it's like, I see the scene in my head. I might get like little tiny flashes of images, but in reality, I'm building a picture out of context. So
Yeah,
like in
that's
my mind, my mind literally does not separate information. It only connects it. So
yeah,
I've
yeah,
had trouble in moving my emotions around, specifically when I'm really into it, because that's all there is.
yeah. And it's hard to break it down and separate things, and because we are like a culmination of everything that we've gone through in
Mm-hmm.
our life.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I had 20 years ago, I was in a completely different position in my life than I am now. And I would never trade that, and I would never trade this part. But I mean, there's memories that I like better than others, of course.
Yeah.
But it all made me who I am. And I don't, so I have to take the anxiety, I guess, and the depression and everything. I take it, I guess, with a little bit of a grain of salt. And I hope that my doctor doesn't overprescribe me. At one point, he had me on 5 antidepressants at the same time. And I was like, oh my God,
I hate that.
I was a zombie. And then I was still, as my doctor called it, a nervous breakdown. I just cried like for like 3 days straight. And my dad's like, what is wrong? What can I do to help you? And he was getting all upset.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's nothing you can do, Dad, because I can't tell you what's
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, I know. These doctors
So,
will amp you up on 5+ antidepressants at a time, and then you have a nervous breakdown. But they literally take all of the chemicals that are responsible for your thought patterns, replace them with
yeah,
over time, and then you get into this
he
psychotic
overloaded
state
my
almost.
receptors.
Yeah,
The
it's almost like going crazy. And then they're like,
Yeah,
"Oh, see, you're crazy." And it's like, "No, you just." And this happened too with my research into like you don't even talk about antidepressants. Talk about birth control. You know,
yeah,
like the depot shot does the same shit. What they do is they inject a fuck ton of hormones that you don't need into your body, confuse your body, and then your body shuts down. And people who use the depot shot, which I know this kind of seems like left field, but I did a lot of research into these kinds of things because I was like so curious about how it affects women and their bodies and what they might
yeah,
use it for or who might be prescribing it. It's just a real question, like how are people impacted by this, especially with
right.
all these laws and these policies being
Po-
determined around things like this. It's important to know what they're talking
It
about,
it is important.
and
Yeah,
it literally drives people crazy. It literally changes the way people feel, think, sense,
Now, can you
taste,
go get
sounds,
peaches?
everything.
And
And
get
then they
the
go, well,
door.
why are you crazy? And it's like, because you
No,
just
he
changed
delivered.
the entire ecosystem within my body.
yeah.
And my
You
body
just
is my emotions. That my body
yes,
is a manifestation of all the things that came before, which are all my perceptions.
yes,
And so,
and you've thrown them all into a tizzy,
yeah,
and
it's very
yeah,
confusing. And
and
then
it
you end up crying for three days straight. And it's
yeah,
like, wait, why is that happening? It's like, I don't know. But the reason
yeah,
is because your body literally is confused.
yeah,
Your body's like, holy shit, I'm in trouble.
yeah. That
I'm dying right now. And it's like, but you're not. And then
I
you're just,
had to get with a different doctor, and they're like, "Oh my God, your serotonin
no,
receptors are not even receiving medicine at this point."
really?
Because you have to just stop everything. So she like didn't take me completely off, like, but she dropped me and I was on high dosages of everything that they had prescribed. So she dropped me down to like two pills, like two different medications to a really low dose of
Oh,
each, just to so I stayed kind of level. But yeah, it was like I was a zombie. Like my brother would call my dad and be like, "What's the matter with Karen? Like, she's just like, sounds so lethargic. Did she just wake up? It's like 3 o'clock in the
Yeah.
afternoon." And I was like, "No, I've actually been up doing things, but I sounded like I didn't want to have anything to do with the
Yeah.
world." And that I wasn't trying to self isolate, but I was.
Well, I think too, chemicals like that, what they do is they change the way that you feel because they change the chemicals that produce the feelings. And so, where your mind knows better, your body
Yeah.
doesn't. And so,
Right.
it's very confusing because you end up literally feeling chemically induced feelings that are not yours. And then you can't
So they're
sleep, and then you can't
artificial.
remember, and then you can't. And yeah, of course you're social distancing, of course you're isolating because you don't even perceive this one-to-one connection the same way anymore.
Yeah.
Somebody calls you and you're like, what the fuck do you want? And then you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't really mean that, but fuck you. It's like, oh, you get this kind
Yeah,
of
like
anger in
my phone
yourself.
doesn't
You're like,
even
oh.
ring.
I feel that. I go through that all the time where I'm like, no, I'm not trying to be snippy. That's why I was saying earlier about my cat. I was like, sorry if I wasn't trying to
Sorry.
get out. I just happened to do that and want to be
Yeah, no, I get
be
you.
aggressive.
My poor dog
It's the
has
same thing.
gotten an earful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's I appreciate you sharing all that
yeah, no,
experience of
thank you
yours.
for letting me. And
Of course.
it's great to be part of this group. I'm really glad to have found you guys.
I'm glad that
So,
we found each other. I think that we have a consistent group of about, and we're going to move to YouTube very shortly. I'm glad that we had these more lengthy conversations with each other because they're important.
yeah.
But we still are doing that. And, I think what's interesting is that there is a pretty like substantial core interaction. Like there are probably like 20 people that regularly attend and like we all
Yeah.
talk to each other.
And I
Like,
find myself like friending
yeah,
them
right.
outside of it and stuff too. So it's
I love
cool.
that. It's so
Really
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would anybody else like to jump on before we go? I'll take one more person. We
Yeah.
can talk about literally anything. We've talked about mental health. We've talked about ways to work through our emotions. We talked about Chester's death anniversary coming up this month. We've talked about a lot of things, and anybody
Oh,
is welcome. Yeah.
and I am exactly 1 year older than Chester, 1 year and a day. My birthday is March 19th, 1975.
Whoa.
Like, there
I
we
didn't know
go.
that. That's actually
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah.
Talk about
Very
synchronizing.
Pisces synchronized. Yeah.
Oh,
What
you
the?
do fall into the Pisces
Yeah.
bracket? What Pisces starts on the 18th, I think. I'm trying to remember because I did the math.
It ends. It ends on the 21st. I think Aries
That's
starts
the
on the
end.
21st.
You're right. That's
Yeah,
right.
it's the very end of
You're at the end.
Pisces, and then Aries is the 21st, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, when I saw that, I was
Yeah.
like, interesting. No wonder. Like,
That's very cool.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing that as
yeah,
well. I did not know
just
that. It's
a
always nice
fun
to
little
know more about
tidbit. Yeah.
you all. I do see I have a
All right, I'm
request
hopping
here.
off. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Oh, Justice wants to jump on. Yeah. Thank you for jumping on, Karen. I appreciate that. I'm adding Justice right now, which is hilarious. I got something to tell you. Oh, Karen, I think your thing's still on. Hi, Justice. Oh, there we go. Okay. That was
What's
weird.
up,
Sometimes
man?
it takes a little long. How's it going? It's funny. I kept calling you Justin. I don't know why I got that wrong. And then I saw I thought, because I was talking to another Justin, and then I was
Yeah.
like, oh, and this that interaction was like mid. It was like lukewarm, and then this other Justin came along, and I was like, that's a way cooler interaction. And then so I kept calling you Justin, and then I saw your profile right before I jumped on, and I was like, oh fuck, their name is Justice. I hope I didn't call them Justin when I was talking to them. But it's nice to see your face. Nice to meet you officially. We talked last night for a long time
It was
about
it was a
a
good
lot of stuff.
conversation.
Yeah. How are
Yeah,
you today?
I really wanted to just kind of touch up on a few things that that last person said. I think it was Karen.
Yeah, it was Karen. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted, like, she brought up a few things I kind of wanted to like touch on myself.
Sure.
So
Thank you for.
especially with the medicine, man, like going to therapy and all that stuff, man. I remember, before I kind of relapsed on the medicine I told you about last night,
Yeah.
my therapist had me on, I think it was Prozac, Wellbutrin, and something else. And it kind of did the same thing. It really messed up my head and turned me angry, like turned my depression into anger instead of like the sadness or anything. So I kind of quit going to all that and told him I didn't want any medicine at all and kind of just bailed on that, which is probably a bad idea, but
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah, I know a lot of people who have had like insane experiences, truly insane experiences, like unsound, like mentally uh, deranging experiences. It's like being reorganized.
yeah,
Um, and so, it's cool that we're talking about it because a lot of people are on antidepressants. They're on these medicines and they don't. Yeah, even Karen just said, well, Wellbutrin fucks your mind up.
yeah, it definitely does.
What was that experience like for you? You said it made you angry. Like, how did that, what do you mean, like reactive or just like
Yeah,
dissatisfied?
like my head is constantly like screaming at me, like constantly, with depression. But when I was on that Wellbutrin and everything, it seemed to amplify, if that makes any sense. Like it just got louder, and I would lash out at the people I care about or anybody talking to me for like no apparent reason, and like it turned my head into the Incredible Hulk pretty much. Like I was angry all the time, just smashing everything.
Okay.
I couldn't stand
That.
it, so I couldn't get off that.
Was that a difficult transition?
Yeah, it was, man. It was. I mean, I was trying so hard to accept it and let it take over, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't. It just pissed me off constantly. And then, I've tried for maybe a month and it just didn't work. So then when I finally got off of it, then I had to transition back from angry to just my regular everyday like depression and whatnot. And
Yeah.
it was just terrible. Just terrible.
Yeah, you shared a lot of your story with me last night, and it was, it, I was like, I think I said specifically, I was like, oh, you go hard. Like, you don't
Yeah.
fuck around. And that was, that came out of a conversation specifically about your music as well.
Yeah.
Which I won't go too far into because that's yours. You can go into it if you'd like to, but I'm not gonna go into it like that for you, just because I don't think that that's my place. But we had a lot of conversations last night about not only to touch on the medicine, but also on Chester's influence in your life as well as other people's lives. Like we ended up talking because you were inspired by him,
Right.
and that was you were doing research or just trying to learn a little bit more, and then you found out about me, and you thought you'd reach out,
Yeah.
and maybe to your shock I responded pretty immediately.
Yeah, I was
And
pretty
we ended up talking
surprised.
right after that. But you can go into any of that if you want, but what I will say is that I was inspired by your art and by your capacity to, as I said, describe your experience. Because
Yeah.
what you had shared with me, and I won't go into it, but I will say that
Now, feel
you,
free to go into it. That's what this platform is for. Like, share it.
yeah,
It's
if you
better
if
for
you
you
want
because I'm
to, we
pretty
can
shy.
definitely share
So
it. You don't have to read it or nothing like that. But you were just saying like you had these flashes of intense emotions and what might be thought of as like resonance. You just resonated with it, and you shared these songs with me, and I was like, I saw myself in you, and I saw a truth about mine and my father's lives in what you said, but it was just you talking about yourself, which was
yeah.
insane. Because I was like, how like and that's why I say I was inspired because it's different to be an artist and have your own style. Uh, well, I guess I should say it's interesting to be an artist with your own style, thinking that I haven't heard anybody that sounds like me in terms of like lyricism. And then when you
Right.
were sharing your lyrics, I was like, oh my God, I heard myself for the first time. That was really cool.
Right.
And I can't share any of the lyrics I shared with you, but you're more than welcome to talk about those experiences if you'd like. whatever you feel is relevant to this, because you know you said, oh, even your the losses that you suffered around the time that would be Chester's death anniversary, including your birthday, those kinds of events. Like, you have a really interesting uh, entanglement with
Yeah.
the Chester energy. So I don't know if I kind of want to give the stage up to you, let you talk about yourself for a second if you'd like to.
I mean, yeah, I can try. I don't really know what to say, but like, yeah, that's part of that's the whole reason I write music to begin with, because I know, like, without going too much into it, my experience is the stuff that I put down in my music. I know it can touch other people, because I know maybe not the exact same way, but I know all of us, we all go through that pain. We all go through the things that I write about. We all, at some point in our life, we've all felt it. So I kind of make music describing everything that I've been through, describing how vulnerable I can be, because I know it's touching somebody. If somebody just gives it a chance, then I know they feel it. And you said that you felt yourself in that.
Yeah.
And then when you shared with me some of the lyrics that you wrote last night, I kind of felt my lyrics in there, like, not my lyrics, obviously, but the way I
Yeah.
write. So I thought it was pretty cool. And that's the whole reason I make music, because music speaks to everybody if they just listen to it,
Yeah.
and yeah, like, this whole, Chester's death date, the anniversary of that. Like I said, my birthday is the 19th, and he did what he did or whatever on the 20th.
Yeah.
So that's kind of dampening. And then, like I told you last night, my mama died on July 5th.
Yeah.
So July is just
Yeah.
it's a rough month for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
That sounds like a lot of energy.
But yeah.
I appreciate you sharing those things with everybody here, because I know a lot of people. There are people who are shy. They don't want to rock the boat. Like I was saying, there was even someone from Peru last time we did this who was like, I just, I don't think the people in my life really support that kind of conversation. Like, it's just an artist, but it's not really just an artist, because the music itself was so emotional. And I
Exactly.
think that what's really fun for me, interacting with the other side of the coin of Chester Bennington, is being able to interact with the people who don't have these very specific ties to Chester. You and a lot of people have extremely traumatic things occurring around the same time, or as he died, or even like he was a safe space for things that had happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think you getting up here, and especially after just meeting me, like getting up here and saying something. The two people who were on today are people I've known for a couple of weeks now, if not for months or even a year or more. Like, these are people that are regulars here. So
Yeah.
it's different to have somebody I just met who took literally a leap. Like, you were like, oh, I saw your name in a book, and I was like, I'll just Google
Yeah.
you and see if you're a real thing. And even when I was talking to you, I laughed, because I was like, when we started talking, because I was like, I totally was snippy with you when you when you messaged me, because I was just talking
Yeah.
about my friend. I had this friend who told me, based off of other interactions that I had with people in their family, like, I didn't deserve that. I deserved better, and they weren't going to do that. And then they continued to do that. And I finally was just like, dude, I don't want this energy in my life. And right when that happened, you messaged me. And I was
Yeah.
like,
That's crazy.
yeah, you were like, are you Jamie? Are you really him? And I was like, yeah, I am. And then you're like, but are you really? And I was like, you know the answer. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck, that's a mean thing. But I didn't want to unsend it, because I'm not that kind of person, unless it's really necessary to like unsend something. I'm not going to do it. I'd rather just eat the bullet. So, but it
Yeah.
ended up being totally fine. We laughed about it, because it's such a petty little, like, figure it out. But it was just like, no, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that at all. And I'm
Yeah.
really excited to meet you. And I appreciate you sharing your experience, because I think it opens up the potential for other people to be able to interact like this and
Yeah.
not feel so. Because I think you're really like the third person I don't know to like get up here and say something. And that's a big deal. So you're kind of leveling out the field a little bit in a lot of ways. And so I appreciate your willingness to try something and to follow
Yeah,
your
don't get me wrong. I'm a super shy person, but like I told you last night, man, mental health is the number one priority in my life. Like that's the most important thing ever for me or for anybody else around me. And so that's kind of why I wanted to like hop in here because I want and even one of the people, I don't remember who it was, one of the people in these comments, I just told them that I'll be there for you. Like reach out to me,
yeah,
like because that's how we should all be.
yeah.
Like everybody in this whole world,
I
like
saw
that's how
that.
we should all be. We should all be there for each
I
other.
saw that
And so like
comment, and I was gonna say something, and I appreciate you doing that. I think that was Amy.
yeah, so like I just want to tell everybody out there, like anybody, if y'all need anybody to talk to, feel free to reach out. I mean, take a leap of faith and get on the camera like I am. Like you can't get better if you don't reach out, you
Yeah.
know?
And part of it is being able to determine your potential. Like if you're feeling a way, you have to create a potential to feel a different way. If you're in a space you don't want to be, you have to be able to perceive of a space that you do want to be in. And I think that because of social media and the way that people have been attacked on the internet, it's kind of a hard, just
Yeah.
in general, like the internet's a really scary place.
Oh, for
Even if you were
sure.
saying, you're like, I got to make sure it's really you because it's the internet, you never know. And I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, you're
for
totally
sure.
right. Like, especially if you aren't aware of certain contexts. Like a lot of people I know have been shut down on the internet, bullied off the internet by even people like oh, somebody wants to do this. Awesome. I got two more. Okay, fine. I won't leave. Okay, guys, we won't move over yet. But I am going to finish this conversation real quick. Or not even real quick. We're just going to finish it. I love your tattoo, by the way. Your flames.
Oh yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
I
And the
also got this.
nines. You have nines on your neck? Oh, that's
Yeah, I do.
cool.
That's the
Hey.
other thing I wanted to talk about. That what's her name, Karen?
Yeah.
She was talking about something like somebody told her to change change her thoughts or whatever to feel better.
Yeah.
I don't wholeheartedly agree with that, but in a way I do because my 999 thing, like my purpose in that is 666 is this real bad thing. So the way I look at it, you flip it into 999 and then change all your negatives into something positive. So
Yeah.
maybe don't change your thoughts, but try to find a positive vibe in it.
Yeah.
If that makes any kind of sense. And she kind of did. She said that, and she brought up, your dad passing away, Chester passing away, and anybody else's that did. She was saying she was nervous to bring him home and take care of him, but at least she has the opportunity to do that. So that in itself is kind of finding a positive thing. So that was pretty cool to hear. Either
Yeah.
way.
And she's listening to you right now. She just responded to you that she appreciated the way that you flipped the 666 to the 999.
That's yeah.
Yeah. And I also, yeah, again with the Amy thing, like I think it was Amy. Thank you for reaching out to the people in the chat like right away because that also is something that can kind of take a second to initialize or realize because the internet's a tough place. It's like we're all here for the same purpose, so it makes it easier. But with that being said, it's still difficult. And I think you're right. I think that's also some of what I was trying to say too. I don't mean to make it sound like, oh well, if you're feeling away, there's no way to change it. What I'm saying more is like it is a strategic thing to do, like to change your emotions, to go, okay, well, I am here, but where do I want to be?
Yeah.
And how do I visualize that as accurately as possible? And for some people, visualization happens in a totally different way than it does for others. Like some people can actually see it. Other people have to feel it.
Right.
Like I have to feel it. I have to literally be somewhere different, which is hard because if you're freaking out in your own home, but you got to be home,
Yeah.
then how do
Trust me, I
you,
get it.
then where do you go? What do you do? And that's how I ended up scaring the shit out of that little kid. Just running over there like, and then he's like on the ground like, what?
Yeah, that was a crazy story to hear.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for getting on. I want to try to get to these other. I have two now, and I want to try to get some more people up here because that's what we're doing here. And I appreciate you jumping on and taking the leap and talking to people in the chat and
Oh yeah.
offering up parts of your life and some of your philosophies about how to negotiate tougher feelings. And I look forward to sitting down with you and talking to you about your music because I only got to hear the lyrics. I didn't get to hear any of your music, and I'm pretty fucking stoked. And I still do, like I said, I do still intend to work with you, so to speak, if that's something that you're interested in. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we can get into it sometime whenever you have free time. So
Yeah, I have tons. We'll work it out. Thank you for
yeah.
jumping on. I appreciate it.
No problem. How do I hang up this thing?
I think you just do it on your side. I think you just start tapping around.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I've never seen the other side, so I'm like, I don't even do this with other people, guys. Oh, that was kind of there for a second. It changed.
No, that just cut off my
Yeah,
camera.
that was just
I don't know how to like hang up.
Let me see if there's something I can do. I don't want to push end. I don't know. Karen, how did you?
I found it.
You found it?
I think.
That, yeah. Woo. Okay. Good job. Okay. Oh, hey. It just needed. It just. I don't know how to say your name, but I recognize you. Hello. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Yes. I'll do Sandra D first, and then I'll do Bonnie, and then we are actually done because I'm gonna go to. I need to breathe. I need to relax. We're gonna go to YouTube and have a chill sesh. That's what we do on YouTube. We hang out. We just hang out. That's all we do. So um, I tried to add you. I'm gonna add you again. See if it works. Sometimes it takes a second. Sometimes it doesn't work. I have my piano right here too. I guess I could noodle around until Instagram figures out what it wants to do. Oh, okay. They're working it out. Here they come. Wait, what? That is so offensive. What is going on right now? Why did that happen? Why do I have this face now? Uh-oh, Sandra's unable to join. Why is it making my skin not white? This is so uncomfortable. Get off me. Oh my God. So sorry, everybody. That was not my intention. I don't know what the fuck that was. Sometimes if I do this, it'll like do the thumbs up thing. Don't take that seriously. That was not a choice. Okay, I'm gonna try one more time, Sandra. D. And I'm gonna see if it comes up. You know, when I hear your name and I see your profile, every single time I think of D from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. I have literally rewatched the thing a million times, and just as I have with Adventure Time and Twin Peaks and so many other things. Okay, I don't think it's gonna do it. I don't know what happened. It's okay, Sandra. We can do this again at a different time. We'll do this again. I'm gonna let Bonnie in because that's the other one, the other request. Is Mandel still here? Is Branson still here? Is Josh still here? Hi.
Hi, nice to actually meet you face to face visually.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you too.
I really just wanted to say thank you for providing a safe space for those of us who are here. I mean, just even the other day when you were giving G her haircut, I'm sorry, their haircut, like I noticed that you guys are both really into validating people's difficulties and stuff like that. And there's just so little of that in the world. And I think it's so needed. And so, yeah. And earlier when you were talking about some of your struggles with biting your nails and hitting yourself, I got like really emotional. I kind of started crying a little bit because I felt that pain because I've had more pain by the age from birth to age 12 than anyone should have in their entire life. And by age 12, I had very severe depression with full on, what I'm not going to say because I don't want to trigger anyone. By age 12, I was trying to unalive, just yeah, so it's been brutal. And with that, around the age of 12, I developed all of these physical issues too, chronic illnesses and stuff like that. I am 48 now, 76 baby, like your parents and such. And I have spent, sorry, I know I'm
No,
old.
it's cool. It's like I'm bad at math, so hearing the numbers is always nice.
I've had chronic illnesses for 36 years that have been extremely limiting upon my life. I'm primarily housebound, have little to no energy. It's very hard to, people don't really want to be around people who struggle that much. And so I've been very isolated my whole life. And yeah, 2017 was brutal. And like you mentioned, for a lot of us who have had those parasocial relationships with your father, we struggle in a different way, but can also be very strong, especially I think for those of us who have underlying mental health issues, depression, PTSD. And what you also mentioned, I think, is very true. A lot of us have also had our own personal losses separate from grief of your father, that have been everything from grief, trauma, and that is the case with myself too. So yeah, I mean, life is still hard. I don't think life will ever not be hard for me. Um, I'm on 3 antidepressants currently, and I was told at the age of 18 that I would have to be on antidepressants for life. And that has proven true. While the side effects are horrendous, I cannot function without them. And the ones that I'm on now are still not enough for me. They're still not enough. So I do struggle every day. And I just wanted to say that, like, I see you, like, not visually, but like emotionally. I see you. I see what you're putting out there, and I believe you, and I believe the things that you say, and I've seen your receipts, and I stand with you 100%. And I appreciate the fact that you're providing like a safe space for people out here who, you don't have to be doing this. You could still be like putting up your truth without doing these lives and inviting people up to speak and share about themselves. And when we share difficult things, you're validating that. And we don't get that from, a lot of us don't get that from our families. I don't get it from, I've never gotten validation from family.
Never?
My mother is now 82 years old, and only in the last 3 years has she stopped being abusive toward me. So yeah, my mother and my older sister were abusive toward me. Even after I moved out, became an adult, moved out, I still wanted the love and approval of my mother. And so I tried to have a relationship with her, but she would always flip back into this very, very verbally abusive mode. And so we were just on again, off again for years. We would not talk for 5 to 10 years. And then I would try again with her.
Wow.
And it would work for a couple of months, and then she would just flip right back into it again. And my discourse with her separated me from the rest of my family too. Only in the last 3 years or so has my mother stopped being verbally abusive, now that she's 79 to 82 years old. And now I'm like, oh, I better late than never, but so sad that it had to take so long.
That is challenging.
And even still, she can't admit the extent to the effect that she's had on my life. She said, "Oh, I made mistakes," you know. That's
I
the
hear
best
that
I
one.
can get out of her. Right?
I hear that one from a lot of people too. They're just like, my biological mother liked when I was younger to not address the nature of my quote anger issues or my sensory challenges or my developmental challenges. All of them. She would just say, "Well, I'm only human. Well, what do you want me to do? I can only do so much." And it's like, "Well, what do you want me to do? Because you're asking me to do more than you're doing. You want me to not freak out, but then you get to freak out and you get to go, well, I'm just human." Well, that's funny because I thought we both were. You know what I mean? And that has not really changed for me either. And so you know, thank you for sharing that. And that is, I know how stressful that can be. I don't know how stressful. I know it can be stressful. I don't know how because I don't have chronic illness like you. I don't have 36 years of challenge that you are constantly, you know, like I can perceive it on some levels because I feel like, of course, that's probably why we have gotten along in the past. You know, we've talked to each other a couple times, and even recently. It's not even the past. It's just like the past, like not the present moment. You know, we've had conversations, we've had interactions, and I feel like I relate on an informational level, but not an emotional level because I can't really perceive what you go through. Right. But that's not the point either, you know. So it's like, and I appreciate you saying all those kind things to me because I would talk about that with
Oh
G
yeah,
about
I've been
it.
in.
I'd be
Oh,
like,
I've
I
been
don't have to
gonna
do any of this.
suggest that.
Like, I really don't have to be up here. Like, but I love it. I love it. And that's not me being like, oh, you guys are lucky I'm here. That's me being like, no, like I have made it possible for me to have absolute free time, and I dedicate 90% of it to this because that's how much I genuinely love it. That's how much I genuinely care about the situation. That's how dedicated I am to providing space and having these interactions and finding solutions. And so you know, I was kind of scratching my eye right there. I wasn't crying, but I do feel emotional about it. Like I do feel, you know, I got some tingles. I was like, oh, words, you know, like it does feel like a hug. And I appreciate you getting on here to say these things and share these things because it is nice. Of course, it's nice to be validated. I see why what you're saying. Thank you for validating people's pain with the validation. And I think one of the biggest problems with the mental health discourse in general is that people like to think that we're all not the same. But in reality, even though I don't have 36 years of chronic illness, I can still understand you and hold space for you and relate to you on an informational level. And that's
I've done
hard.
the rounds of doctors. I have done the rounds of medical doctors for physical suspected chronic illnesses. And I've done that for over 3 decades. And the consensus has always been either, okay, you have this, but there's nothing we can do about it. You have this illness, but there's nothing we can do about it. Or I don't think you have an illness at all. I think it's all in your head, is what they said, which is not the nicest delivery.
Insane.
But it's not the nicest delivery when you get that from medical doctors constantly. But I've gotten to the point in the last 3 years or so where I've started to really strongly feel like I'm holding trauma in my body. That no therapist that I've had yet has been able to help me to process and release that trauma that I'm physically holding in my body. And I'm hopeful with my newest one. I'm optimistic. I like her. We're gonna try and work on it. But it's just like it feels like a poison inside my chest, and it's like, how do I get this out and free myself? And I don't know how to do it. So yeah, there's also a growing field of therapy called somatic experiencing therapy. Are you familiar with it?
Not with the name in specific, but I do. I have a big part of my practice is kind of developing, quote, like somatic style coping mechanisms. Just like
Mind-body connection.
yeah, that's exactly what I
Basically, you can't separate the mind from the body. I'm starting to realize it's not one or the other. They're very connected. And for me, I still struggle mostly with anxiety and with trauma triggers. So if I get triggered, if one of my traumas get triggered, the best thing I know how to do now is distraction, to distract myself.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, it's the only, it's better than doing what I did the last the first 5 years, 2017 to like 2022, and that is bawl my eyes out 24 hours straight and bang my head on the floor, and so it's better than that. But I don't know if there's anything better than distraction. But distraction is what I do now. I try to catch my triggers as quick as possible and just be like, okay, think about something else. Do something else. You know? But yeah, I mean, I guess the last thing I wanted to ask you is some of your meditative practices. I've watched almost all of your videos and almost all of the full length videos and stuff.
Wow.
But not 100% of it, just in the past 3 weeks or so. And I actually learned how to use Instagram because of you, for you, so I can, yeah. Although I was able to also connect with your youngest brother a little bit, watch him do some sketching, and he was so kind. He gifted me with a piece of his artwork when I was after I lost a friend last week.
That will make me cry. That's gonna get me
I can show it to you.
I would love to see it.
Let me show it to you.
Unfortunately, I can't really talk about any of that, but I can observe it.
He sent this to me. I did a little framing project. Yeah. And he sent it to me with a little note on the envelope. Yeah, he sent it to me for free, and I got a 2-pack of frames at Michael's, so I decided to just frame those also, which I should have done a long time ago. Anyway, yeah, he's very kind also, and he also provides a safe space. Good. But you were the reason that I learned Instagram. I get your alerts now on Instagram when you come on, but I haven't figured out yet how to get alerts when you start a YouTube live. I have to figure that out. But the main thing I wanted to ask you about your meditation practice is, can you explain to me a little bit about the colors? Because I'm actually trying to work on getting better at meditation. And that's something that I talked about with my therapist yesterday, is that I need to do more meditation. I need to get better at it. And also breath work. She tells me I don't breathe when I speak, which is true. You might even be able to tell, but breath work and meditation are the two main things I'm working on. But you have a lot of different things in your meditation that I am totally unfamiliar with. I was just wondering if you could give me like a little quick catch up on the colors.
Yeah, so I I went to a couple therapists throughout my life, and they were terrible or inconsistent. Meaning that as an adult, I used like BetterHelp once.
Yeah.
It was a joke. That's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
And anytime anybody does like an ad placement for it, I get annoyed. Like if I watch somebody I like on YouTube and then they're like, this one's sponsored by BetterHelp. I'm like, who are you and why do you not know this is a bad idea?
They're not
And
good.
it just makes me feel away. But that's because I've had bad experiences with BetterHelp. I have been scammed by them. I have also been in precarious situations with their quote therapists who are a nightmare. That's the best way to say it. Now I know this isn't everyone's experience, but it's mine. And so as an adult, I've tried therapy. I even tried with my mom, Elka, and her therapist didn't like me. And so they literally, in the middle of the thing, they were like, "I don't like the way that you talk. You can't be that way." And I'm like, "You're literally here to facilitate a conversation with me and my mom, and that's it." But my mom went to this person for like 10 years, so that's the problem. And they were like, "I won't do that with you. I'm leaving," and they left the therapy session while I was literally in the Zoom with my mom, sitting there like, "Well, that was weird, wasn't it?" Huh, it's kind of like, that's your therapist. Weird. It says a lot, in my opinion. And
It's very hard to find a good
well, just
therapist.
even like that she would go to somebody like that for 10 years, say that we should be in a conversation together, not stop them from leaving, and then just be like, well, that's what it is. Well, no, that's not what it is. We came here to find solutions, and you didn't want to find solutions, obviously, because you didn't stop them from stopping. You didn't stop them from leaving. And you didn't defend me either. You let them get in their feelings about how they think that you're being portrayed when they don't know anything because you're my mom and they're not. So it was a big thing. And so as an adult, I've had just bad therapy experiences. As a child, I was put into therapy a couple of times for my challenges that I was facing. And I don't remember most of it because I was so young. It was inconsistent. I didn't stay anywhere for more than 6 months to a year. And very soon after I started going to therapy, I was kind of just tossed around. I didn't live anywhere for more than a year at a time, no longer than 3 years, for a long time. I did the math in like high school. I was like, whoa, high school is like the first time I'm gonna be somewhere for 4 years. That's crazy. And so when it came time to acknowledge myself, I did. And I just didn't believe in therapy. When I came to acknowledge myself, part of that story is, when I was punching my hands together and then realized I was self-harming. Those are parts of my self-awareness that occurred. That's an aspect of the self-awareness that manifested when I did talk to myself about what was going on. And how do I say it? When Chester died, I already had told him in February of the same year. It's February to July. I said, I'm suicidal, and that is not because I hate life. It's because I love life, but I am so overwhelmed with panic and anxiety that it's not a life worth living, in my opinion. If you're living, you're supposed to at least enjoy it. But I'm constantly bogged down by, I'm not feeling good. I'm not happy. I have all the socializing skills. I have all the creative skills. I'm working out. I'm going to class. I'm getting good grades. I should be perfect right now, but I'm not. And I don't know why. And he had told me, I had told Chester that, Karen. And he had told me in February of 2017, I acknowledge you. You're not wrong. I don't have any solutions for you. What you're experiencing is real. I go through the same thing, and I don't know what to do. And I've been trying for a long time to find a solution. And then for about 6 months, he stopped talking to me. And then he died in July. He just kind of faded away. And while that was going on, I was becoming more aware of myself. And so this kind of stimulated a long-term journey of realizing what my needs were and how to fix them because they weren't being met. And I realized that I had a lot of things that I didn't even know I was struggling with because I had been, for lack of better words, misled or even gaslit aggressively about certain things. And so I found that there were a number of things, specifically oriented around my mother, Elka, that were not okay. Like, I would walk around and tell people, like, Elka met my partner, G, in 2019, and they got drunk. We were at the cabin, and they started talking about how Chester was always in my life, that he was just kind of in the peripheral, which was really weird because that's not the story, and that's not what I know. In fact, I had been walking around telling people that Chester didn't know about me at all, but then he found out about me and that he came to my side and was the perfect dad ever since. That's not true. I found out about my dad because I was 5.5, 6 years old, and I realized I didn't have a father. And I said, hey, do I have one? And she said, let me go check real quick. You do? I have to figure some stuff out. And then I found out through an introduction to his music that he was my father, because he was touring Hybrid Theory and he couldn't come meet me. So for about a year, I waited, and then I met him when I was about 7.5. And then within a year of that, my mother gave me up because she had a substance dependency challenge. And so I went into the hands of other family members. And when I heard her say that, I looked at G or Bella at the time, and I was just like, what's going on right now? Because they didn't know my life. I met them in September. This is October of 2019. So, we're still learning each other, and as we currently still are, because it's always it's an ongoing process. And I realized that my parent and that possibly other people, friends, family, doesn't matter, work partners, whatever it might be, they were changing the way that I saw myself so that I didn't talk about what happened because they didn't want that thing to be talked about, right? Chester can't go to the Kids' Choice Awards and be nominated unless he's a family man, a stand-up citizen, not a guy who's enjoys using substance and loves being on stage and is a little bit of a chaotic agent. You can't have that. So around the time that Transformers popped off was when they did the whole reconstruction of Chester's image along with everybody in Lincoln Park, where they were all of a sudden just family men. They weren't anything that they were before. They're just family people. They're just, they just, they can be nominated at the Kids' Choice Awards. And I tried to talk to Elk about this, and this is part of the process, because I was like, you're lying to me about my life, and I need you to tell me what really happened. And they were like, well, I'm not that person anymore, and I don't want to go back. So I spent years sharing what I was learning about myself and developing for myself to help myself with her. And we got to the point where we were sharing memories. We were going through this box of memories that she has. And she said, I thought this was going to be a lot harder. I talked about this on one of my meditation live streams on YouTube, and recent, I think it was last week. And I had confronted her about it, and she just kind of kept giving me different answers. And then when I finally did this thing with her, it turned out that there was a guy who thought he was my dad that I never knew about. There were like a bunch of random little things going on that she didn't want to clarify on that were super important for my own identity, my own understanding of where I come from. And she was just giving me different answers every single time and saying that she wanted to go along the path, but then would turn around and go, no, I'm not doing that. So we had planned to do another one of these sessions. We never did. For a year, I tried to get her, like a literal calendar year, I kept asking her to do it again. And she went from being on the side of like, I can't wait to do this again, it wasn't that hard, to I'm never doing this again, this is fucking awful, and I can't believe you would bring any of this up or talk about it that way. And I was like, what way? I'm just sharing my experience. So over the last 7 years, I've kind of gone through this massive period of derealization. And in the process, I've realized my true nature and what it is that's going on and what I need to do to help myself. And in the process, I came up with a bunch of tools. But one of them was the color meditation. And the color meditation branches together a bunch of different, I'm going to stand up because I've been sitting down for a while. The color meditation is kind of like a marrying of many different types of practices. It's the chakra system, but it's a chakra system I derive for myself. So I went through my own body and figured out what my energy centers look like. And then every color is a wavelength or a layer of reality, so to speak, for me. It's an informational dimension through which I exist. And each one of these colors has a frequency, so to speak, or a cycling period. And each one of these colors is also, and that was me bringing in my practice of reading my circadian rhythm and trying to manually stimulate my body chemistry through breath work and things like that. So I also practice breath work and things like that. And then an added element was I had started to, through these practices of breath work, through the practices of yoga, through the practice of self-awareness or expanding self-awareness, I started to have really interesting interactions with my dream space. And I started automatic drawing more often. So I just kind of brought in like everything that I used to do and started doing it all together. And when I did that, the Elder Futhark runes, which are thousands of years old, over 4,000 years old, ancient wisdom just started popping up. Like I would literally start casting Elder Futhark runes without knowing what they are. I would just be drawing pictures and then they would come out and I'd be like, oh, it's in threes. And oh, this one's 2 from the Elder Futhark and 2 from the Younger Futhark with 1 rune in the middle that's shared between both alphabets. And these are basically, these are categories of thought. They're basically descriptions of elements of consciousness. And so what I did is when I went through and I discovered that I had 12 centers and that my color theory could be applied to the centers and that I could give color real meaning, what I realized was that really my ancestors are speaking to me. And I was like, oh, that's super cool. And so I added runic designations to each a pair, one for male and quote male and female, yin and yang, whatever you want to call it, negative, positive, electric, magnetic, whatever it is you want to call it, runes to describe each color. So every color has a conscious focus. Every color is described by 2 runes which give it meaning, and that meaning directs, or I guess manifests energy of the same meaning in my physical environment. So that's what I say when I say color meditation. I initiated, because I said I was aphantasic, I can't really see pictures in my head. For me, I would pretty much primarily paint and draw in only black and white because I couldn't see anything else. I didn't understand color. I didn't really have a way to apply it. And then when I started building out my understanding of color and applying it to all these other parts of my practice, I realized, oh, you know what the problem is? It's not that I don't see color, it's that I can't comprehend depth on a certain level, consciously, cognitively. So there are, and that's where my memory loss problems come from. That's where my emotional dysregulation comes from. That's where all these other things that I struggle with come from. It's a challenge in holding a depth of perception on a certain thing or concentrating focus, so to speak. And so I designed the color system to concentrate focus over time so that I could not focus on everything at once, but focus on parts of the picture in spurts. So every color has a different meaning. Every color lasts for 30 days. And that meaning is derived from Elder Futhark bind runes, which I created myself. And with that being said, right now we're in yellow, we were in brown. The colors start because it's a spectrum of wavelength, because it's every color has its own qualities where you might call them, like, some colors are low vibrational and some are high vibrational. It's been really interesting to have this second round because I started it last year, and the colors go from black to white, which means black is no color at all. It's just feeling, essentially. It's just sensing. And then white is the cognitive process of making judgments and thinking in general. So on one side it's feeling, on the other side it's thinking. Thinking is high vibrational. Feeling is low vibrational. Low vibrational and high vibrational are terms that I feel have been, and I'm glad I get to talk about it right now, I feel like they've been misconstrued in holistic terms, because people like to say, well, That's bad energy, so it's low vibration. Get out of here with that. That's not what it is. Because what it is it's not referring to a good or bad quality. It's referring to a cycle or a reoccurrence of emotion. You know, when you feel something, you don't think at all. You just go through it. That's intuition, right? We were just talking to Justice. Justice didn't think about it. They saw my name in a book, and then they thought they'd reach out, and they did. And then now we talk. You think about it for a second. You go, okay, the thought is, I want to see if that person's real. And then the feeling is, oh, I'm just going to act out the action and then follow that without any judgment. So on the scale of, on the far side, the low vibrational side of the scale, there's black, which is just feeling. And then by levels of increasing frequency, we have red, orange, brown, yellow, green, and those are the lower six, so to speak. And then the top six go from top down, not bottom up. And they go white, violet, purple, blue in the throat, magenta for the back of the neck, and then cyan for the hands, which I'm working to separate the colors from the body because I don't think they're anatomically correct. I think that the centers are just centers, and that the body essentially exists in resonance with information, which is kind of a non-answer to the thing that I'm trying to say. It's like a non-explanation, but I'm not going there right now. So it's a bit more complicated, but basically there's a lower vibrational center and there's the higher vibrational center. The lower vibrational center is specifically oriented around action, not thought. So for example, black is determined, the meaning of black is derived from the runes Lagus and Thurisaz, water and adaptation. And so really what it's saying is that we are the shape of water if water is our perception. And that the shape that our water takes is the adaptation, or so to speak, the thorn on the flower, because that's what Thurisaz is. It's known as the hammer of Thor, but it's also known as they take it from a flower, every rose has its thorn kind of thing. It's an adaptation meant to defend the body or facilitate a particular interaction of the body with the environment. So then you have, red, which is about honor as a means of propelling yourself through reality to achieve certain ends. So your honor is the way that you see the world and the way that you choose to hold yourself in that interaction. And so that's like saying, okay, if you believe something, when something that is resistant to that thought arrives in your reality, do not allow it to change your conviction about it. But also, that has a lot to do with flexible self-rigidity. You have to be able to resist resistance, but also be aware that resistance comes to you in many forms for many reasons. And so it's not just enough to say, oh, well, I feel this way, so I'm never changing. It's to say, well, I feel this way. I'm not going to change when it interacts with me, but I will be open to the idea that what I'm experiencing is not what I think it is, and be open to the potential that it could be different. And then that allows me to be open emotionally and mentally, or mentally is emotionally, so that in my system, that's the way it works, so that I can change it if it needs to be changed, because it's everything to be rigid. That's the whole point. You hold yourself, you become yourself so that you can be yourself at all times. We use I for a very specific thing, but I have to change. So you have to be flexible in your rigidity. You have to be willing to change even though you're not changing. It's a whole paradox. And so this is all about action, right? This is all about maintaining a certain level of quality in your interactions and maintaining your environment in a certain way. Whereas thinking is about projecting into things. So for example, where black is like low vibration, you don't have a cycle, you just go, it's 0 point energy. High frequency thought, which is white at the top, it's the regulatory capacity, the executive functioning capacity of the body or the mind. That's high frequency. Why? Because thought requires depth of field. Thought requires you to resonate information, and it's the contrast between information that creates the emotion in the body, according to my studies. And so when we think, we produce chemicals that produce feelings in the body, because our body is only feeling and our mind is thinking. And so really what I was having trouble with memory loss and things like that was my my ability to perceive of what it was that I was experiencing, and then to lower myself consciously or just in terms of feeling into the action itself. Like, it's really hard for me to be 5 years old. And there's a lot of reasons why that's hard for me. There's the 1990s, there's the political environment, there's the social environment, there's the advent of modern internet and these kinds of things that we can do now. There's a lot to deal with. There's the discourse around mental health to consider. There's religion to consider. I was raised by an evangelical who was raised as a Baptist. It's confusing as fuck. And so, you know, it's like, it's not just as simple as being 5. Because when you're 5, you're just you're a vessel floating in this environment. The adults in your life, they determine what you do. They determine what you think. They determine how you feel. If you don't feel the way they feel, they're going to make you feel a different way. If they're not thinking or speaking the way they want you to speak, if your manners aren't on point, for example, they're going to enforce your manners. That's not me. That is someone else. And so a big part of my challenge in perceiving the depth of field of my experience as a 5-year-old is the fact that I don't have a say in the matter. I don't have a choice. If I am going to be 5 years old in terms of my memory and my emotion, I got to be willing to be in pain because someone else put me there and be fine sitting there in it. And I'm not. At this point in my life, I'm really not. I'm really, I'm in revolt. I got punk in me right now. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not sitting here and letting people make me feel a way or control my actions or my words, because that's where I was, and I know that wasn't healthy. Now, in the future, when I gain a certain capacity to perceive the depth of field, which is constantly evolving, that, you know, the capacity because of these conversations, I'll be able to do that. I'll be able to, quote, project into the past. But I've also found, interestingly enough, that a lot of the people in my life, like Elka, they would say that the past is meant to be left in the past because they don't want to be that person anymore. Well, in my experience, and I had said this to a couple of people, I might have even said this on here today, my body is a physical manifestation of the beginning of time and everything that occurred until this moment. I am a living manifestation of every emotion, every thought, every experience, period. There's no question. I didn't just manifest out of thin air. And even people who do, they came from somewhere. There's a context that makes that work. You know, for example, everyone's a baby. Everyone has to be conceived somehow. They have to be 3D printed into this reality. When babies are created, sometimes they create themselves because of the context of the situation. This is what they call indigo children, right? They go, well, the kids, the spirit of the reality is so strong that it demands to be acknowledged. And that's when a baby births itself. And I know a couple of babies like that. And I have had past life experiences without even dying. I have reincarnated, in my opinion, I have reincarnated into this timeline from a similar timeline, but at the same time, it's not true. I was me here, and then I also absorbed memories of someone who was absorbed into this in this timeline. So, you know, it's a very complex thing, this perception of reality that we are able to have. It's not as simple as, oh, well, we breathe air and we go to work. I go to sleep and I eat. It's not that simple. These patterns and these processes, they are derived from thought processes. They are mental by nature. You can't have anything unless there's context. We literally only exist the way we exist because the world we exist in facilitates that existence. I can't live without water. I wouldn't be Jamie. It wouldn't happen. I would not be a Homo sapien, not a human being, but a Homo sapien in this timeline. It wouldn't happen. I would be a fish or something, because that's how that could manifest. Now, with the colors, I've gained a greater perspective on these things because, like I said, there's 12 layers to my dimensional matrix. Each one is a color with a runic binding on it to describe its conscious qualities. And because my depth of field was impacted by my trauma, it's actually more helpful for me to spend 30 days in each element of that matrix. And this is the second year in a row I've done this. So this is relatively new. But not only is it a coping mechanism, it's also an amplification of my higher energy, my true higher self, you know, what I want to be. Because in reality, when I'm freaking out, right, like today I had my meltdown, I'm yellow today. So I sit down and I go, okay, well, what runes did I use? Am I doing the thing? In my mind, yellow specifically relates to cognitive and, or so immaterial and material respiration or breathing. So as I'm panicking out there and there's these kids asking me if I'm okay, I'm focused on breathing because I remembered what color I'm in. And so not only is it a way to help myself stand in a spot, stay there when I can't feel anything else, but it's also a way to leverage emotions into a new place so that I can be in a place that I want to be, or a place that I know is better for me or more functional. And also, in that way, it's not just a philosophy, it's a coping mechanism. But it's not an unhealthy coping mechanism, which is something that I worked really hard to undo in myself. I'm conditioned unhealthy coping mechanisms like punching yourself in the face or crying for days on end or telling myself I'll never cry again like I did with my dad. You know, I was in 2013, my dad left me. He said he was going to be there for all of my high school. He didn't even show up for my high school graduation. And he left back to California because, quote, he didn't want the commute anymore. And there was a big blowout because I defended him and I defended Elka and specifically against Samantha because I found out that Samantha had said something about them that I thought wasn't true, but it turned out they were lying to me. And Samantha was right. So when I called Samantha out, and this is, I learned from my mistakes, when I called Samantha out, it actually cascaded into this truly chaotic mess where all of a sudden they can't describe why they lied. They can't tell me what's going on. They won't tell me what's going on. They can't and they won't. And then you got this person over here, like Sam, who's got a real fire in her. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a diss. That's just an acknowledgement of some of the more energetic things that Sam is capable of. You know, Chester got really mad at me. And he said something along the lines of, if he called me, I remember I had a breakdown. And these are the things that Elka doesn't remember, even though she was standing in the room with me. And, you know, he was like, if you need to keep your head down, do not get in my business. If it does not relate to you specifically, then do not fucking talk about it. Do not look at it. Do not engage with it at all. I don't need you in my shit. You're making everything worse. And if you do it again, I will be forced to never talk to you again. And I freaked the fuck out. I was like, I freaked out. And Elka will tell me she doesn't remember this, but she was literally like, if I'm standing in the room freaking out, she's right here watching me, talking to me, trying to help me through it. And she still doesn't, quote, remember what we were talking about, even though I have little snippets. That's not the whole picture of the situation. That's what I remember. So there is definitely more context, but those kinds of things, those deficits that were caused by these interactions, they weren't ever addressed by my parents. I had to go build my own way out of this. And so that's, in you know, a more long-winded explanation, what the colors are. They help me piece out my awareness of the world around me and my place in it so that I can help myself gain that depth of field of focus back because I don't have it. So I have it in some areas now. And like I said, you know, there's a lot of natural fun things about it too. It's not just a way to help myself. It's also a way of life. It's a lifestyle. The really cool thing about having, you know, the same process repeat year after year after year, which is what's going to happen. It's just going to be the way it unfolds because that's the way it was designed. I get to experience wide varieties of different events. Like when I did yellow last year, I wasn't doing this. I wasn't even allowed to do this. I hadn't even started doing this for myself yet. I mean, it's July. I didn't even start talking until October, November. I had started posting. I had started amping up to that thing, but I hadn't done it yet. And so, you know, this is uncanny. This is the depth of field I'm talking about. Being able to hold last year just consciously in my head without looking at a calendar or a book or any kind of receipt. Being able to go, okay, I remember where I was last year. Now I remember where I am now, and I can compare the two. That contrast is that depth of field, that ability to see yourself then and now at the same time is the thing that allows us all to grow and become healthy and more synchronized. That's what I've observed in my experience. So, is there anything that I didn't touch on that you would like me to touch on?
Well, your practice is very advanced. And for somebody who is brand new starting off and wants to learn the very basics, what would you recommend? Like maybe going on YouTube and searching like chakra meditations?
Well, no, because I think that's a great question. I think that every system, you're a system, I'm a system. Everybody is their own system. This is kind of what I was talking about language earlier. Like, it's a wonder we're even communicating effectively right now because we don't exist in the same spaces. In reality, your language should be different than mine. Your meanings are different than mine. Your interactions are different than mine. Your experiences are different than mine. But somehow there's still this common dimension that we can exist in and we can communicate through. Well, I would not suggest going and looking at chakras because although it's fun, and it is fun, everybody is built out of their own energy. So it's not going to be the same. And this is where I hate to bash, new age, holistic conversation, discourse, but there really is a lack of consistency in the meaning of the language. You probably experienced this in the medical world yourself, where people will say things to you that are just totally absurd, like, how are they treating you for something they don't understand? But then they'll say they understand it, and then they'll give you like, oh, well, this is the syndrome, this is the thing that you're dealing with. And it's like, wait, but you don't even understand that, so how do you know? And they're like, well, it cropped up in enough people for us to put a word on it. And it's like, that's not understanding. That's acknowledgement. You're acknowledging that there is a cluster of symptoms that seems to affect many people. You're not acknowledging the root or the symptomatic cause of that thing that you're talking about. For example, how many people go undiagnosed as autistic? How many women in specific are affected by a grossly unbalanced diagnosis and understanding of autism? Like, why were they just studying men for all those years? Women are equally as susceptible, and they are way more impacted by the way in which people choose to understand autism or things of that nature. Any other kind of condition as well. And it's very serious because, again, we'll go back to the low vibrational, high vibrational thing. When you hear low vibrational now, oh man, that was so low vibrational. Like, I can't even believe that. It's like, wait, am I a bad person? Did I just do something that was bad? Was I gross there? Was I wrong? I don't know. But like, the answer is that no, that's not what's going on. What's going on is that you're interacting with the reality you were given. Your body is made up of all of these incredibly nuanced systems that intermesh and entangle, so to speak, and work together. But yet they're also their own independent brains. So in essence, I figured out I have 12 brains. And those are manifested in certain systems. So, I have my, respiratory system. I have my blood. I have my skin. I have my hair. I have all these different kinds of things, the lymph nodes and all that. They're all their own manifestations of these centers, of these energies. And so I wouldn't say that it's a good idea to go and take ancient knowledge, which, by the way, all ancient knowledge is not ours. I'm just going to fucking say it. I don't care if you're a scholar or not. There's a difference between observing a society and then pretending you know what they were saying. You don't know what they were saying. We don't know what they were saying. The Elder Futhark runes don't exist. The ones that I use to make my own system, they don't exist. You go look at any scholarly history about the runes, they found a set of 24 runes carved into a single rock face in an area where there were not only 24 runes, but hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of runes that were created by independent systems, people who were understanding the same thing from their own perspective. So in reality, the runes that I used to generate my system, the ancient knowledge that came through my blood, surfaced in my consciousness when I started healing myself, it's all intuitive. That's what they were saying. They're not saying look at the Elder Futhark. It's the Bible. Take it seriously. And if you don't, you're going to hell. It's like, no, it's an intuitive system because you didn't have this technology back then. And you know what? I can't even say that because they might have. We wouldn't know. If the Earth decided to do a fucking backflip and we had major storm cells across the entire planet blowing things to shreds, 1,000 years passes, you're not going to find a Yamaha keyboard in an apartment. You're going to find a rock face and some trees. You know, you're going to find the bottom of the ocean. And so we don't really know what they were using. We don't know if they were like us. We don't know if they went to the stars. We don't even know what the stars are. And there is a lot of research about these things, but it's all intuitive. Like, I would not suggest that you go look at a body of esoteric wisdom that was colonialized at all in any way at any time. I would say that's going to lead you down the wrong path. But really, it's not about finding information. It's about learning yourself. It's about becoming aware of what you are experiencing. That's why I go back to the past. Because when I go back to the past, I see, wait, I'm not anxious for no reason. I'm not panicking for no reason. I didn't start biting my nails for no reason. I didn't lose my memory for no reason. I don't have memories as a child, and that's not for no reason. You know what I mean? And then the problem is that the reality around it wants to go, don't look at me. And I think that kind of circles back to what you were saying about how your mother even has a hard time acknowledging you in a way that's respectful and supportive. And, you know, she might have moments where she feels like that and she can do it. And then she has moments where she can't. But that's also something to think about. Like, just I'll go back to the plight of women. Just the women alone, the amount of mental and physiological stress that you are all under is so massive, I couldn't even use simple terms to describe it. And that's not me being dramatic. That's not me being like, you know, everything sucks. I'm saying, like, you don't have autonomy over your body. You don't get taken seriously by doctors. You're constantly undiagnosed and made to suffer. You're constantly belittled in the workplace. You're paid less. You could be the best worker in the entire building. You could run the entire fucking company, and somebody would still have the balls to tell you that you ain't shit. And that's a fact. You have people out here making choices for you, against you, acting the entire time like they're doing it for your best interest, and it's not your best interest. And that's the reality. And I think that colonial spirit, which, you know, I'm just going to talk about my story real quick because I posted some correlations from somebody that I trust, a source I trust, between Native American genocide here in the U.S. and genocide in Palestine. We don't even have to talk about that. We don't have to go into the details of it. We don't have to make anybody choose sides or anything. But we do have to kind of talk about the fact that everything that we observe, every source that we use, every interaction that we have in this modern time is a byproduct of an aggressive, violent, defacing system that does not care about the truth. It cares about function, and that function is beneficial to a very select few number of people, and that's it. And so it's really something that needs to be said. Like, if you're going to go look at these things, you have to learn yourself first. If you're going to go look at these things, you have to know, you have to develop the sense for discernment to be able to tell the difference between one thing and another, because some things say they are something and they are that thing. Other things say they're something and they're not that thing at all. And if you don't know how to say, well, okay, I trust that, but let me look into it, and then you don't have the resilience to actually look into it when the past starts pushing back or the reality starts going, hey, what the fuck are you looking at? Go away. Then you can't break out of that cognitive restraint, which leads to emotional dysregulation, memory challenges, communication challenges, and things of all these very disruptive situations. And that they also hide behind that. So, and by they, you know who I'm talking about. The president literally just got immunity to act in whatever way he wants. There are a couple people who get to decide whether it was reasonable or not, and those people get paid millions of dollars a year to fuck off. So, you know, it's like, okay, like, what are we gonna do? So you're going to go look at a book about chakras, and then somebody, some white dude from the Americas decided that he was going to add some ancient wisdom to it, which isn't ancient at all. It's just nonsense and misunderstanding and misogyny. And then you're going to go in thinking X, Y, and Z. And if you don't know how to get out of that, or you don't even see it in the first place, you could be really negatively impacted by that. So if you go in and you try to do like Kundalini activation and you're not aware of all these peripheral situations, these energies, these influences, then what you could do is you could actually unlock your cosmic knowledge and literally melt your entire nervous system to a crisp and die. That's a thing that actually happens. You know, a lot of people, when they start activating their spines or getting back into their genetic memories in their bodies, they can go crazy. I knew somebody for a long time.
100% agree with that. I
And
mean,
they did.
yeah.
They go crazy. They literally go crazy, and it's so sad. And it's something, you know. I had a female friend who did this, and they were like, "Well, I can speak light language, and I can do all this and that. I can intuit because I'm feminine." It's like, wait, you're now you can't turn it off. So you're seeing dead people everywhere, and you can't even sleep, and you don't even know if it's Tuesday or Thursday, and you can't tell what a calendar is anymore. And all of a sudden, you got people talking to you within you, and it's just like, it's insane. She literally collapsed, and I was trying to talk to her about it, and she couldn't hear me anymore. And then after all that, she blacked out. She didn't remember any of it, and she just went on to a different life. And I'm like, no, you literally split. Like, you need to understand that. And so it takes time, and it takes intuition, and it takes like grit. Like, it hurts. Like, everything that I've done, this sounds easy, but you guys didn't see all the times that I was, you know,
Yeah.
I want to not be here. You guys didn't get to see that. So, you know, I would say, if you're interested, follow your intuition, because what I do, and I see some people saying in here, I'm not sure if they mean it in
You
a
had
positive.
to work to get to where you are now.
They're like, oh my gosh, this is taking time. I'm answering the question. I answer questions. This is why.
I'm glad that you have something that works well for you now. That, you know, this is a great coping skill for you. Your meditations and everything. And yeah, I totally get that you had to work to get to where you are now. And I do appreciate you saying that it is not for everyone, and that everyone, you know, that they're saying more and more now that with trauma, like, trauma is not healed the same way for everyone, even by the same like method of therapy. No. Like, for some, EMDR might work, but it's not going to work for everyone. For some, you know, hypnosis might work, but it's not going to work for everyone.
Yeah.
And there is this importance placed on how much therapists will bring up of your trauma. If they're going to bring up your trauma and put you back in that space where you feel like you're reliving it, they need to help you resolve
They got to
that
be there for that.
before the end
Absolutely.
of your session. Because it happened to me once not that long ago, where my last therapist, she put me back in that place of the trauma, and then she's like, well, our time's up for today.
Yeah, right? Isn't
And
that
I
crazy?
was like,
wow. Holy fuck.
I was like,
You threw me in the ocean with no life vest.
Yeah, you
and then you went, oh,
the
hey, there's
next
a hurricane
week.
coming. I'm going to ride the boat back to shore. What?
Yeah.
No. What the fuck? I would say that it's not wrong to look at these things. Like I said, it is helpful. But what I would say is that when you learn to intuit, what you learn is that you follow the line of thought. So the thought doesn't end there at the topic. You know, what I do is some people might call this scrying. I'm not really sure. But what I'll do is I will get an impulse in my head, like, okay, go to Bookman's. Okay, I'll go to Bookman's. We don't know why we're there, but we feel the anticipation. Okay. Show up there, walk around the bookstore a little bit. All of a sudden, something like this pops out and starts screaming at me. It's like, read the book, read the book, read the book. And I'm like, oh, well, what is it? And I'm like, oh, it's about oil murder and a woman's search for justice in Indian country. Oh, I get it. It's about the oil barons pillaging reservations. Okay, so why is that important? And then I go sit down and nothing happens. And then 2 days later, I'm like, all right, I got to go back to Bookman's. I think that what I'm looking for is there. And I just go to read my book, and then somebody sits down next to me, and they're native, and they're going through it, and all of a sudden they start talking to me about things. And they see me reading the book, and they're like, well, why are you reading that? Why do you even care? And I'm like, because it's my responsibility to care. I have the capacity to do that. All of a sudden, we're having this insane conversation. It's cathartic for both of us. And a whole new potential in the world is opened up, and more information comes in. And this is how I made my chakra system. As I went through and I went, okay, well, I need the color first. I don't understand why things have colors. So I go work out an understanding of color, start to apply it to my art. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I could break this into certain colors based on wavelength, because that's what color is to the eye. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, I'm just talking about color anymore. I'm talking about frequency and amplitude. And all of a sudden I'm on a track that I wasn't even on. And that leads me to, okay, well, if this is a frequency and an amplitude, then is there a way to apply meaning? Well, okay, let me go meditate on that for 4 weeks. And then all of a sudden I have 5 or 6 resources that are they all have like one sentence from each resource. And then it's like, okay, here's a bigger picture. Do I agree with that? Okay, let's test it out, proof it. That's what intuition is. It's taking in information, making it meaningful, and realizing where it stops and where it begins, so that you can create something bigger out of it for yourself, because it's only for you. Like, most of this is nonsense. If I were to explain more about my system, it would be helpful for sure in terms of a technical view, but it wouldn't help you figure yourself out, because in my world, my system's not going to work for you. I could give you philosophy all day. I can help you, but it's not yours. It's not in the sense that it's not going to interact with you the same way, because you came from your own context, your own ocean, and all your systems work differently.
Yeah.
I don't have 36 years of chronic illness like that.
Right.
So you have a whole different environment that you are consistent of. And I think it's really important, especially in this false individuation that we participate in the country that is the USA. Individuation in this country is often conflated with homogenization or the conformity to larger institutional ideas, when in reality, if you were really helping yourself out, you would individuate so hard that you aren't like anybody else, and you'd be talking your own language, you'd be doing your own art, you'd be having your own interactions, you'd be out there talking to trees and getting information. People go, well, how does that work? Hey, how are you divining from spirits? It's like, because spirit is mental, spirit is thought. And the more I can get into my own thought, the more I can project it, and I can also connect to other people's thoughts, which is, this is still a practice of the same thing, right? I'm literally divining spirits right now. I'm talking to Bonnie. So, it's I would say follow your heart, but just make sure that you did the work to make your heart, quote, pure in temperament, because you need balance, and that balance, it will make or break the reality, and the reality fucking hurts when it snaps back. So you got to be careful with some things.
Yeah.
So hopefully that was helpful. I hope that you find
I
something that works for you.
think there's a lot of trial and error involved in healing trauma, and yeah, and it can be hard to persevere when you have had so many therapists who have not helped, and I myself also the same thing. I, a lot of therapists are not talented at what they do, and but for me, I feel like I have to keep trying. I feel like I have to keep trying, and currently I like my newest one,
Yeah.
and what can you do in life? I mean, sure, there are times when I just feel like I give up on doctors, I give up on therapists, I give up on medications, I give up on the idea that my life's going to improve. And then the next day I'm like, I can't give up. You can't. You
I'm
can't accept
still
this.
here.
You can't accept
Yeah.
the quality of life. You've got to keep trying. So I do have some of what they call black and white thinking, all or nothing thinking, where I flip back and forth into
Yeah.
saying things are never going to get better, and okay, yes, things are going to get better because I'm going to keep trying. And my therapist said to me, she's like said to me, you've got to be more aware of your cognitive distortions, because
I like that. Cognitive distortion.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
Yeah.
whole bunch of them that a lot of people, myself very much included, fall victim to. Future casting anxiety is
Yeah.
future casting.
It's true.
Um,
It's a
uh,
magical ability when you get it under wraps, but unless you don't, it can drive you fucking crazy.
there's a line in a Tom Petty song that says, "Most things I worry about never happen anyway."
I wrote a song like that too.
I will never.
It's called Paper Moon. I said, there are things that never happened, but could. It's true.
um, So yeah, cognitive distortions are really not helpful to any healing process. And so my therapist said to me, she said, "Okay, one day you're all enthusiastic because you feel like I'm a good match for you as a therapist, and the next day you're thinking that you're never going to get any better." She said, "Where's the middle ground?" She said, "There's a whole middle ground. The middle ground is that, okay, we've taken one step in the right direction, we've found the right therapist, we're not where we want to be yet, but we're gonna get a little bit better every day. We're gonna get a little bit better." I have breathing difficulties, a lot of breathing difficulties, and so I have to start with the most basic, easy breath work.
Yeah.
And even that, like, I do poorly. And she's like, "Okay, well, you didn't do great with your breath work today, but you did good with it yesterday. You did good with it yesterday." So, you have to account for all these shades of gray. And anytime you can go in any positive direction, it's a
Yeah.
victory. Like, even when I was watching you cut G's hair, I was talking about procrastination, and I admitted
Yeah.
in the chat, I was like, "I am procrastinating taking a shower. This is embarrassing to even admit." And she said, "No, we all procrastinate." And then somebody in the chat said, "Just do it, you'll feel better." So I went and do it, and I came back to your
Yeah.
live, and I said, "I did it. I took a shower, small victories." And like, everyone was so supportive, and they were like, "It's more," I think G said, "It's more than a small victory, it's a big victory." And I'm like
Yeah.
thinking to myself, my parents' generation would be like rolling their eyes at me and laughing at me and degrading me for even admitting that I was procrastinating taking a shower. And I mean, the majority of my peers would be doing that too. But like, what I really love about the younger generation, your generation, is that you're becoming more and more supportive of and acknowledging, sometimes small things do have to be celebrated.
Yeah.
And like, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that you bring that, and G brings that, and the community that you're developing on here is bringing that support in the comments section
Yeah.
and saying, "No, you're not crazy that you're having that problem." Procrastination is a form of anxiety for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I've started to realize that for me, it's a bit of an issue of perfectionism too. You want to be perfect. You think that you have to do this task perfectly. And so you're sitting there delaying it, planning it, thinking about how you could do it perfectly, and you never do it. And I'm like, so anyway, I just really appreciate the community that you and G and everything I've seen in the comments, bringing forth that supportiveness, and that, um, just, it's great. I'm thankful that you're here.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you allowing me to answer your question and even, ask other questions. And I'm very grateful for your kind words. And, I hope that you are able to intuit a path for yourself. And I hope that one of the things that I learned through G really was how to make everything, to make everything the same, because it's not little things. Like, it takes an intense amount of life force to cook yourself food. It takes an immense amount of life force to drive yourself to work. It takes an immense amount of life force to wake up sometimes, and like literally, like physically wake up in the morning, and then it's even harder to stay awake. And I think a lot of the discourse in this society that I live in, it's around like ableism, like, oh, you should just be okay with it. It's like, no, just because you got okay with being numb to things does not mean that I am, because I guess I'm going to feel things always. And I'm always going to be thinking about things. And, it's not my fault you guys gave me things to feel and think. Like, I was born into this world. Nobody asked me, did you want to be born in the USA to Chester Bennington and Elka? No, nobody fucking asked me. But here I am. And I think that it's a demon to embrace. But it's also something to say, like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. And I think that's where the supportive quality of this younger generation, like mine and people around me, that's what that is that understanding that, like, guys, you learned all these really like very much so maladaptive behaviors from people who aggressively beat them into you. And it's not that you felt that way. It's that you didn't feel that way and somebody made you feel that way because they said that's what it's going to be. You either get with it or you're a loss to the society. I mean, I grew up with conversations. My grandfather, Chester's father, was a 30-year Metropolitan cop in Phoenix. Or sorry, a 30-year Phoenix Metropolitan police officer and a sergeant, and he investigated child crimes, and he did all sorts of things. He would always tell me, like, oh yeah, to be a part of society is to contribute to it. So you got to pull your weight. And I'm like, what weight do you want me to pull? Because I want to write music and paint and play video games and conversate with people and explore things. That's what I want to do in my life. And then he's like, yeah, well, that doesn't help everybody else. Who's paying the bills and who's making the food and I'm like, that's their choice. We live in a society, we don't have to do that kind of stuff. You're coming from such a backwards position, in my opinion, because in reality, you're using that ableism against me. Like you're literally creating scenarios for me to exist in and then not giving me a choice to choose. And that's it. It's like, how am I supposed
my mother told me that she didn't abuse me as badly as her father abused her.
That's
And
a
I was
big,
like,
big one for a lot of people.
It's I don't know if you consider it generational trauma, but a lot of people think, okay, I did better with my kids than my parents did with me,
That's what
but
my mom said.
that's not good enough. It's not good
No,
enough.
it's not even close.
It has to be right. It has to be right.
You might as well just say, I'm only human.
It can be better. Okay, better's a step in the right direction, but it's not good enough to foster a healthy child and a healthy human being in their entire future life. And I have started to you talk about like looking back to the past, and I have started to realize two therapists ago, about 3 years ago, I had one who really emphasized the importance of childhood. And prior to her, I really didn't acknowledge too much the effect that my childhood abuse had on my life and on my body and on my illnesses. And because you may recall, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology.
Oh no.
And I mentioned it briefly on one of the
Oh,
chats.
okay. I probably saw it. I didn't. Sometimes I get
Cognitive,
the.
with a focus on cognitive behavioral
Oh
therapy.
yes, yes. We were talking
Yeah,
about
right,
DBT,
right.
CBT. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when
I
I was
remember.
in school, I mean, we were kind of taught, Freud, he was a little, we were kind of taught to discount Freud because of all of his, daughter is attracted to father,
His
son is attracted to
antics.
mother. So
Yeah.
we were like, you know what, let's not like focus on Freud, um, and, and so I took that message and I didn't put any importance on childhood, and I myself was for a very long time, don't think about it. It was terrible. It was horrific. I should have been taken away by foster care.
Yeah.
I would have been if I had called, but I knew the foster care system would be terrible too. I don't think about it. You know, and a lot of people told me the same thing. Don't think about bad things from the past. You know, let it go, and you'll be happier.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. But it came out in nightmares. It came out when
Yeah.
I was not during the day. I didn't think about my past, but it came out in nightmares.
But when your body went to rest, it
And in
went,
my
oh wait, there's
and it's
all this
stored
in
in my,
here.
it's stored in my
Yeah.
body still. And I realize more and more it has to be dealt with. It has to be resolved. And until um, I get a therapist or a coping skill of my own that
Yeah.
can successfully resolve that, I'm gonna still have nightmares and I'm gonna still
Yeah.
have chronic illnesses. And so yeah, but you're right about that the past does have to be addressed and resolved appropriately, rather than just pushed down and
Or even
suppressed and
dislocated. Yeah.
distract ourselves and don't think about it. I don't know the right way to resolve trauma, but I know that there is a right way out there, and I just have to find it. It has to be found.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're finding it for yourself, and that
Yeah.
you've probably found it through your work and what works for you. And I'm like really glad to see that you seem to be doing pretty well. Like, I mean, maybe some people have insulted you, you know, some of your loved ones. That was that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But because they don't understand, they just don't understand. I see them as maybe not being quite as mentally enlightened as you are, and as emotionally intelligent as you are, that they can't comprehend what you see. And I mean, some of them, yeah, they know that they don't want to be exposed the way you call them out. Yes, but I think that there's also a lot of people in your life who don't understand you because they don't have the same emotional intelligence that you have. And that is an epidemic. It's a pandemic of lack of emotional
Yeah.
intelligence
I would I
in
agree.
this country, certainly. I mean, probably most of the world, but in this country we do have
Oh, they prey on it. It's built into our literal DNA. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's part of why I went so hard into finding solutions myself, because I was like, I literally can't trust these institutions. I can't trust the resources. I can't even understand myself. So I'm going to need to do that. And what I found was exactly what you're talking about, which is why I decided to go public with it in the first place. I was like,
I
this
was
is real.
very disappointed. I've seen the videos where you've read letters that were written to you, and I can't imagine anyone thinking that you made those up. I I can't imagine Jamie Bennington sitting down at his computer and saying, let me
Let
let
me
me
do
write
this.
let me compose a letter and say this person wrote it to me even
Yeah.
though they didn't. I
And then
mean,
tell everybody to be honest.
and 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 for you to probably have at least some conscious knowledge that it was going to bring you some drama and some unhappy people. And but you've also posted
Yeah.
receipts, and I've seen those receipts, and at least some of them, and I don't want to say horrified, but I was saddened to see that these people who are a generation older than you were name calling you. They were name calling, and that's something I have not seen you
I
do
try
that. I
not
mean,
to.
I know you say that you occasionally do that, but but the type of name calling also is not the type of name calling that they should be doing if they are at all concerned about mental
Yeah.
health. And you talk about ableism, and I think it's really, I want to thank you for bringing that up, because I've experienced a lot of that in my life. But I also wanted to point out, as I'm sure you know, that ableism is not only for physically, it doesn't only affect people who are physically disabled, but it also affects people who deal with mental health issues.
Oh, yeah.
And what I see when someone says get help and they don't mean it in a nice way, they mean it in an insulting way, that's ableism toward somebody who may or may not need to get help, or may or may not already be seeking help in their own way, or finding what works for them, or working through things for them. And I just wanted to say that I was very saddened for you, because I know that these people that you've called out are people you love and still love. And I know what it's like to be rejected personally, myself, rejected by the ones that I love. As a child, who wants to be rejected by their mother, which I was, so I know what you've been going through must be really difficult. And I wanted to tell you that these people that you're dealing with, they're not emotionally as intelligent as you are. That's what I see. I don't think it means they don't care about you.
Yeah.
I just think they're not as emotionally intelligent, and they're taking the wrong approach when they name call and when they weaponize mental health and things like that. Didn't we all learn in 2017 that we need to not do that? We need to not weaponize mental health. I mean, you've probably experienced this. I have countless times that when a person is having thoughts of self-harm, we can't usually express that without it having serious negative effects on us.
Yeah.
So I think that we're still in a place in our society where the vast majority of people do not respond correctly when somebody admits that they're having thoughts of self-harm. What I would like to see people doing more is offering kindness towards people. Where, as someone who is not a licensed mental health professional, aka 99% of us, we can still offer kindness to someone who is expressing any feelings of mental health concerns. Kindness is free.
Yeah, it is.
Kindness isn't that hard. It's just a matter of practicing rather than, I think some people, they think it's attention seeking, which I would say,
I mean, I've been told that in the last
I've been told it thousands of times. And I would
Yeah.
say if a person gets to that point where they are attention seeking, even if it is attention seeking in that respect, first of all, it is embarrassing for me to admit when I am having thoughts of self-harm. And I assume it is the case for a lot of people. It takes a lot of either one, desperation, or two, strength, or both, to admit to, and sometimes we do admit it to the wrong people, because we don't have a therapist in front of us right now. We admit it on social media, online, to our family, to whoever we can admit it to. What I want to see is people, one, not to put that attention, stop saying that people are attention seeking. Instead, realizing that people are either feeling horrifically, or they are taking a strong action and the right action by admitting how they're feeling, and responding first and foremost with kindness, saying, I care about you. If it's someone you love, saying, I love you. And don't ever lie to anyone, but if you care about them, say, I care about you. Say, I'm sorry you're feeling this way. I'm sorry you're going through this. And if you have the capability to and the willingness to, you could ask the person in need, what is it that I can do to help
Yeah.
you? Is there anything you need that you would like me to do? Would you like me to call your therapist? Would you like me to set up an appointment? Would you like me to come over and just be with you? Or whatever the case is, that's what we need. We need first and foremost kindness motivated, and not, oh, well, you're attention seeking, or, oh, you're not going to do it,
Yeah.
or, oh,
Yeah.
my mother used to dare me to do
Yeah.
it.
I know some people
she
like that.
she would dare me. She would suggest specific ways that I should do it. So I
Right.
mean,
You don't deserve that.
it's so dysfunctional, and
Dysfunctional is the
it
word.
just it saddened me to see the fact that people who are in our community, aka your loved ones, have not learned from what happened, that we need to be kind to someone if we perceive them as having a mental health issue. And I'm not saying that you were having a mental health issue,
Yeah.
but if your loved one perceived you as having a mental health issue, they should have responded to you with kindness, not with a "you're crazy" or "go get help." You should have gotten kindness. And I'm sorry that you didn't get that. And I'm sorry that for all of the millions of people out there who, such as myself and yourself, who didn't get at least the kindness
Yeah.
that we deserved. So
Thank you.
anyway, it was nice talking with you this
Yeah.
evening, Jamie.
It was nice talking to you too. I'm glad I got to finally meet you. I've been hanging out with you for a
Yeah.
long time now, almost like a long time. And you know, I want to say too, you're doing good things right now. You know, by talking about this. If you look in the
Thank
comments,
you.
there are a lot of people who are cheering you on and saying that
Really,
what you're saying is
I'm
exactly
not
right.
good at
It's
multitasking.
okay.
I'm looking up, making
Yeah.
eye contact with you. I haven't been able to read the comments. I was a little concerned. I get a little anxious when I go on camera. I
Yeah.
get a little self-conscious. I am still the person that thinks everyone is judging me negatively,
Yeah.
so I need to continue to work on that self-esteem. Well, again, it goes back to childhood. Your brains are being formed when you're a child, and you have no coping skills when you're a child. And when you have a mother who's constantly telling you how horrible you are,
Yeah.
and in all the ways of how horrible she thinks that you are, then, I'm no longer physically in her home,
Yeah.
but yet I've kept that.
Emotionally.
I've kept that inside of me. And I have started to be the one to emotionally abuse myself
Yep.
because she taught me how to do it to myself.
No, that's
So,
the term you used is the same term to use here. It's cognitive dissonance, or a dissonant projection, because that's really what's going on. Your cognition is stuck back there because it's not stuck. It was made there. That's all. That's all
yeah.
it is. The time matters. And, you know, if it didn't happen, it didn't happen, but it did. And then it's going to be there because that's formative. Now you are moving through life through that experience. So, you know, I think right now, tonight, you guys are all being so nice down there. But, you know, in specific for you, you know, overcoming that shyness, that anxiety, you know, there are people who are being annoying in here. I saw them. But there are people, like all the rest of them, are very proud of you and feel like they need this in their lives. And
Thank
you
you
just gave a
for
lot of
letting me know, because I'm
love.
super self-conscious. I mean, I don't like to go on camera because of how I look. I think I look horrible.
Oh,
So
no.
I wanted to give you a face to the screen
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to
And
take the
it's
initiative.
okay if you forget my name. It's Bonnie.
It is Bonnie. I know Bonnie. I sometimes I forget. I
It's
get the handles
okay.
mixed up, and then I'm like, who the fuck? But I know it's you. I did not forget. I promise.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you look great, especially when you're in your
Oh,
truth. And
thank you.
everybody here is excited that you shared it. And I thank you so much for spending so much time talking. Honestly, you are a articulate, intelligent
Thank
person, and I'm glad that you
you.
got to add something to the conversation.
Thank you for your kindness. And, You do. I had the amazing blessing of being able to talk to your father for probably close to half an hour, one-on-one at one
Whoa.
point. The very first time I met him,
Wow.
2009, after a Dead by Sunrise show in
Whoa.
Hollywood. Yeah.
That's
And
specific.
yes, I mean, we talked about his pets. We talked about the fact that I'm was a dog rescuer at the time,
Yeah.
and all sorts of things. You know, but the one thing that was really captured me about your father is that he always kept eye contact. He wasn't looking around the room for people who were more important than the person that he was speaking with. He always kept eye contact. Like when you were speaking, like when I was speaking to your father, that made me feel, he made me feel like I was a valuable person. Like he valued that
I love
interaction.
that for you.
And uh, and to be honest with you, a lot of people have not been very kind to me in my life, and your father was actually the first person that showed me a kindness in a human being that I did not know existed in human beings.
Wow.
And so I considered your father to be the kindest person I had ever met. And all I have to say is that just in recent weeks, starting to get to know you and starting to get to know your brother Tyler, I see that kindness in both of you also. Yeah, and I'm really happy to see it, that kindness lives on in you and in Ty. So
Wow.
yeah,
Thank you so much. I
yeah.
can't say a lot, but I appreciate you.
Okay.
And
Have a
this,
wonderful,
this was
wonderful
wonderful.
night. Thank you.
Yeah, you as well.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Let's see here. I'm going to look through the comments real quick. I don't think I'm looking at the time. We've been here for a while. It started around 6:30. So it's going on 3 hours. I think what we're going to do is we're going to swap over. I'm really sorry, Motown. I know I said I would talk to you, but that was a really good, important conversation, and we will be back. So next time, if you want to jump on and you want to get on, I will absolutely be here for it, and I will. Well, I'm gonna read the comments real quick because I heard from Karen that Motown and Sandra D might have been a little testy. So I'm just gonna check this real quick before I make any promises. Let's see. Thank you all for being here for so long. Thank you all for tuning in. I know that a lot of people trickle in and out. Amazing. You are all giving me hugs by being here. Virtual hugs, parasocial hugs, they're the same thing. By just existing in my space, you are hugging me. I'm going to have to go too because I keep talking and I need to do breath work and stretch and stuff. So it's just what it is. Oh, yeah, for sure. It's totally possible to do Reiki on yourself. It's called meditation. If energy is information and information is give relevance by cognition, then all thoughts are energy and all thoughts create manifestations within the environment, which means that in Reiki, when someone is doing energy work on you, they're really just manipulating your thought patterns. How crazy is that? It doesn't clog up. The dreaming insomniac said that they're sure that a lot of people want to talk to me, but wanting it will clog up the possibility of it happening. I agree. It will make it a little difficult to, because each conversation has its own half-life. Um, it does take a little, different amounts of time. It does limit the amount of interaction we can have on a certain level, but um, it's not a problem. You guys can all send in your you can all send in your requests, and if I get to them, I get to them. If I don't, at least I'll shout you out. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Thank you for thinking my colors are cool. I don't think that random face that appeared on my face is very cool, but that certainly wasn't chill. but the rest of it is. I see people are either coming in or they're writing messages. Yeah, Sandra. Oh yeah, Sandra D. I'm sorry, bro, but you really went too hard in the comments. It is about you, 100%, but it's also 100% not. And like I said just now, the conversations have their own half-lives. People are going to ask me real questions. They're actually going to stimulate conversation. I'm going to have that with them because that's literally what we're here for. But you spamming the comments, and I know you're not here right now. You spamming the comments and telling, saying like, "Oh, it's unbelievable how long it's taking." Could you imagine someone doing that to you? Try. Try you trying to try telling your truth here in front of everybody, and then having someone in the comments go off and on about how they aren't the ones talking and how annoying that is. Motown didn't do anything particularly strange, but I will say that I'm a troll bitch. I resonate with that energy. But I don't think he's trolling, or they are trolling. I don't think that's what's going on. I just think that people interact. Sandra's trolling. That was trolling. That's true trolling. I could edit this into a separate video, but I probably won't. I love the idea that people have to climb through the gateway of time in order to understand and see what I'm talking about. But the good news is that you can skip around. If you were looking at the time, then you know how long we've been on, then you could look. Deduction is a power, and it can be super. Yeah, Motown's definitely a troll. Oh, you want to bring up P. Diddy, Motown? Let's not bring up P. Diddy right now, not here. That's a whole other conversation. I love the sass in here. What? Eminem died? What are you talking about? The death of Slim Shady. Am I Slim Shady in this situation? Who's Slim? I think Eminem's still kicking it. I think he's still out here. No, there's no moderator. I think I can add one, so maybe I'll do that next time. I'm not gonna block anybody. I'm your mom and your dad. That's just funny. That's just funny. It's not bothersome. That's just funny. Hi, mom. Hi, dad. What is going on in here? I don't think Motown will get bored and leave. No, that's not cool though. See, that's trolling too hard right there. No spitting on people's graves and being rude, you jerk. That takes the joke past the level of a joke. See, and then you say go fuck your butter. Are you kidding me, bro? And a poop emoji. That's not funny. That's not cool trolling. That's annoying trolling. See, you cross the line. These people here. What does that mean, Sandra D? You'll defend anybody. Why are we talking about Eminem so much? See, that's weird. See, Motown, you get a little weird with it. You get a little weird with it, man. You went from being like kind of funny, like I'm your mom and your dad, that's hilarious, to like Chester told me he pooped before he died. That's just weird. It's not. It's not funny. I'm laughing because of the absurdity. It's making me feel the way, of course, but you know, like that is a very Eminem thing to do, and you should. I think that that should be reserved for certain environments, and this isn't it. Especially when someone's talking about their life. I mean, this was literally going on while Bonnie was talking. I think that's kind of disrespectful, don't you? Okay, we're getting to the bottom. I see most of this is just reaction to the conversation and trolls. Well, there are so many comments. Okay, we're moving on. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for giving time and space to Crimson, Karen, Bonnie, and Justice. You guys are awesome. I'm going to YouTube now, and I'm actually going to make ramen first because I'm hungry. And then I'm going to start the YouTube live, so give me like 20 minutes. And when I do that, when we go to YouTube, I'll just be doing breath work, stretching, stimulating myself the way I need to. So, okay. And for those of you who are not coming over to YouTube, totally understandable. It'll be there for you if you like to watch it at a different time. And yeah. I think what I'll do, by the way, I've been saying this about the YouTube color meditations, the community events. I'm going to strip the videos from them and put them on SoundCloud as like podcast type deals so you guys can listen to them while you are doing whatever it is that you're doing. So, okay. I'll see you guys later.